Greetings, mortals. I am Natas, the ruler of the underworld, and we are 1 week behind, so let's not waste time on needless talk. So let's immediately jump into chapter discussions. But because oh boy, we have a ton of them. Like this video could very likely be 4 hours long with how many chapters we have to talk about. But yeah, anyways, we'll start this out with 2 chapters from Shadow House, chapter 197 titled Anthony, and chapter 198 titled Monologue, which is kind of both honest, which far I can of both of them kind of work for it. And honestly, you can kind of make a claim that these 2 chapters should be swapping titles because the end of the next of chapter 198 could kind of work more with the title, while chapter 197 works more as a monologue. But anyways, the chapter 197 starts with Kate kind of being depressed, the fact that all of her work, all of everything she's been building throughout the entire series just got overturned, and that immediately, like, before she was even aware what was going on, all of her effort, all her work immediately taken away, which is very depressing, and I do feel like the reason why Kate would be sad, because like everything she's done, everything she worked to, everything she had to overcome, and it's all just immediately gone, all because of one douchebag who's barely been involved in anything. Hell, she didn't even want to get involved with Anthony. Like that's the thing. She didn't trust Anthony, but it's not like she even really really want to be involved with him anyways. It's kind of like one of those like I'm aware you're there, but I kind of want to be away from you situation. But yeah, anyways, and in her despairing state, Kate's like, I guess Christopher was alive. But Anthony is being a very nice chat about it, and he explains to Kate, oh no, Christopher did die that moment. Like, I did have to escape, and Christopher did have to die. It's just that this is just not the same Christopher. As then Kate's a bit shocked by this revelation. He's like, what? But if Christopher's not in, why is he? As Anthony says that since, he does acknowledge what Kate achieved is amazing and so quickly and all that, so he does out of gratitude does explain to her how the whole thing and everything that played out. That, and I imagine that he generally is just and I imagine that he just doesn't think that she can really do anything more with this information because, like, he controls almost every child in the child wing, and is so he's in pretty safe position right now. Like, it's basically on her own with maybe a few Shadow Masters who are somewhat free, but that's about it. So yeah. So Anthony starts to explain to us about stuff, like how he got involved, how Lewis works for him, and how he got the semblance of flavor, the main thing that's used to speed up the morphs and make them stronger, and explains also how they work and how exactly the morphs sort of work. Like in the first stages of flavor, they just become mimicking the people, while then if you add another batch of flavor, they also get an increase and they can take over the person. So Anthony got a bit of that and gave it to the children's wing and all that, like we already told. As then, after we get expression of flavor, we then have Anthony pulling a Lucius, where he explains that all of the arcs and everything that he has that's been happening in the story has all been a part of his grand scheme. How all of those helped his scheme in the back. So yeah, we are pulling one of those things. Which, all right, I'm a little bit more, I guess you said, accepting to Anthony's plan because, how do I say this? At least I don't have a mind gray about trying to understand how things went according to plan, unlike Lucius. But even so, I'm kind of questioning because the way how he explains his plan, how everything was building up towards, it's kind of like half-assed. Like, the guy explains to us that Mary Rose's scheme, while they did not want to work with him under normal circumstances, they did give him what he needed to want once he gave them the flavor. Like, the way he said makes it sound like he did it by no, they did legitimately just awaken at the power, but it wasn't by accident. It was Anthony massing and giving them flavor that he got from escaping the unification ritual. So he explains that he benefited from that incident, but because it reminded everyone of Anthony's storytelling, and that made them all remember the Gold Generation, which feels kind of forced. The fact that one story that was told to them by Anthony would make them remind them all of Anthony and all that in the Golden Generation, especially since you'd kind of think that Edward becoming the official person in charge of the child's wing or the adult in charge of child's wing would kind of remind them also remind them of that, but whatever. He then explains that the Gilbert incident kind of made them all disliking the Star Bearers, and make them want to go into their old regime, which, to be fair, makes it sound like honestly, like, the thing is, we don't really understand what kind of regime it was before the Golden Generation. It really kind of just seems like the Golden Generation is the only one that's really been liked by the children. Like, Barbara was not popular, but it doesn't come off like she was that different from the ones beforehand, or the very least, anything special or unique in that sense. It's just hers was more unique because of the different ways of becoming an adult. But regardless, they didn't really like. But regardless, Gilbert's thing about the anonymous letter and all that made them all hate the Starbears, making them all want to go into a different direction, different route. So that is, and then you had, and then wanting a new hope, someone they could trust and someone they could be put in charge, which is what Anthony wants to take over, because that's like who they would first think. Like, I mean, we don't know what the children thought when Bar was trying to talk about the Gold Generation. Kate was weirded out by what was Bob talking about, but they were not weirded out but I question what they were thinking about when she was starting to talk about the Golden Generation. We don't really get that. We all know they were just really liked and beloved by the children, but that's pretty much it. But regardless, Anthony wanted them to have their hopes and their opinions on someone, and that someone was Kate at first, because she was the one who was succeeding in everything. She was the one who was achieving everything. She was the one who was proving herself to everyone constantly. So and with that they first had Kate, but now with Flavor they can all put their hopes on Christopher, because they got Maya of Christopher, and Christopher was the one they first really really loved. So yeah, they put their money on Christopher, and he also explains that little experiment with, was it Susie or something, where the vines was just something that he was experimenting on with Flavor to see what kind of results he was gonna get, because that point of Flavor is to increase the power level on everything, or at least that's what his plans on, increasing the power level of the children wing, on at least the ones who are the most combatively competent to make perfect soldiers to infiltrate that. I imagine to infiltrate the adult wing, as well as in general making better more combatants, because like I imagine, because it's explained also that Anthony has had some manipulation involved on an adult wing, like because of the embarrassment with the whole Anthony Christopher situation. Thomas covered the whole situation up, so no one would to be none the wiser. So that worked in his favor. The fact that he could kind of operate in secret, then he could have Lewis say stuff that would get in Edward's ear, and that would manipulate him into acting the way he could gain, because he knows how Edward Edward thinks and how he wants to achieve. So it's kind of easy to manipulate him. So yeah, that's basically how Anthony controlling was manipulating everyone. And in case you're wondering what Christopher is, he also reveals that Christopher is a morph, which he got from Lewis in the adult wing. I kind of feel that's a little stretching out a bit of how influenced the guy who's supposed to be literally the new Shadow in the first floor would be able to, but whatever. Anthony got what he needed to. Anthony got what he needed to get from it, and from that he built the morph up from the ground up to become like Christopher, and after them refer to him in that manner, which is kind of an which I guess could be kind of stay to be foreshadowed, because we did have like a few times where characters were referencing like dolls influencing shadows, and this is what happens in this situation. Like the new Christopher is very much a shadow influenced by the face in the most oppressive manner. Like he was told to be great and all that because of Anthony was taking care of him. So yeah. So we'll see on how much of a character that this new Christopher is going to be in the story. And then we have Anthony again talking about the manipulation as and the only problem that he really was facing is because of getting his hands on flavor because of Thomas's screw up. There's a bit more of an increase on security, but thanks to Lewis, he was able to get some of the flavor to use. He also does acknowledge that Edward most likely figured out what happened with the deception with Lou and Louise. So he does wonder how Edward's not going to react to it, since he's suspicious of Lewis. Previously, he was probably more chill about telling Lewis everything, but now it's probably going to be one of those things where Anthony's going to have to hide more in the corners and the secret passages in the mirror house to get information about what Edward is planning to do moving forward. And now, another thing we also find out about while he's talking about the latest event is about the body that he used to fake Louis and Louise's death, and we find out that he that he unburied Susie and her Rose and her doll master and used their corpses as a disguise for Louis and Louise. After, of course, he carved Susie's face, because otherwise I would be able to recognize that this isn't Lou. So, yeah, Anthony is pretty twisted as a character. Like, previously, you could probably debate on where he ranks in morality, but now he's definitely one twisted son of a bitch. Like, the guy is undeniable, and yeah, Kate, after hearing all this, is actually really fucking disturbed and terrified and generally just broken. Like, she's already feeling very negative because of losing Americo and losing all of her work, but now she's more just terrified of Anthony's actions. And she just now asks Anthony, like, who are you? Because, for someone who's supposed to just be a normal child who just got his brainwashing undone, Anthony feels way too knowledgeable and way too, like, skilled and maneuverable to be able to plan and get all of this puppet mastery shit done just out of petty revenge. Well, not petty revenge, just out of revenge. As Anthony says to Kate, "Oh, now you're interested in me. Well, I'll tell you that, because you see, I'm actually the son of Alfred and son of Alfred Mirror, the head of the Mirror House." And he also describes the events that happened in Kate's past before she was born, with the whole morphs taking over and attacking people. So yeah, he explained to Kate that he's her younger stepbrother. As Kate is most likely shocked. Now, some people probably are not gonna remember this, but Kate is like this weird kind of age range where she could be, I think, 50 years. I've seen 50 years being for a lot. 50 years older than everyone, or could be taken as she should be 50 years older, but is actually still her age. Because again, like she spent like I think 50 years in her mother's womb because of the whole morph situation. But it's kind of like it depends on how you want to rank the ages here. Like I personally think that she's not 50 years older because like one, she only lived in her normal age, and just because she was stuck in the womb doesn't mean that she actually aged anything. But regardless, it honestly that whole thing about her staying in the womb just feels like a way to explain how she life and all that conscious and still acting like a child since 50 years would have shown itself. Like I mean, Candy maybe like 30 while she's a child, but as a child appearance, but Kate generally just Kate Justice General cannot be explained because 50 is a big number than 30. So yeah. So we end this chapter on this revelation, then we start the next chapter, which is a flashback chapter when us getting to learn more about Alfred's side of the story from Alfred Mirror, Catherine's husband and Kate's mother. And we start this chapter off by informing us that the Mirror House was in decline before the whole attack of the morphs. Like they were nobles, but they were kind of losing their position situation, similar to like Arch and Overlord's family, where like they got so much of a funding cut that their position was being questioned, and then his then Archie's father was just buying expensive shit to like look like he can still be nobles, but they couldn't be. So it's kind of a similar situation with the Mayor House. Like they were still nobles, but they were losing so much of their positions and ownership a lot of stuff to a point they were kind of losing. They were kind of in decline. Like essentially, they only had this one island left for them, and yeah. So yeah, anyways in this flashback, we also gotta get like a perspective on Alfred, Kate's father, which is kind of fine how quickly we're getting perspective on him since I don't think he's mentioned that big massively in the flashback with Kate, but I mean he's probably mentioned that. I definitely feel like he's probably name dropped a couple of times, but it's kind of funny how we immediately get into like this giant in-depth lore about him as we find out his the fact that he was like a lot young, like he was young when he married Catherine, or relatively. I imagine he was probably in his like early 20s something. Like I mean we don't get like detailed expressions of characters this in this chapter except for the final page with Anthony or Christopher, whatever you want to call him at this point. Like we got like those flashback faces where like you have no distinct features. Like you have almost the perfect design, but eyes are missing. Uh, Faces are generally almost blank when it comes to a lot of stuff. But regardless, he explains that he was a younger man and he had like a lot of hope and a lot of desires and wishes and appeal to Catherine. And then we get like the real big lord dump, and that is that Alfred and and Joseph, aka and judging by design, very much the same Joseph that's in the current in the third floor building, were actually good friends. Good friends, and they work together. Like we have Anthony's father, Alfred, throughout this chapter mentioned about how, despite him not being a noble, he was very brilliant and very skillful. So him serving and him working on the fairies, which is indeed true. Like it does seem like the fairies, the moves were very much a public knowledge. Like this isn't like one of those like fairy tales that you've barely seen. Like they knew about them and they have seen multiple of them. So Joseph was the one. So Joseph did find them and give them their places, which is, to be fair, was mentioned that they got a morph, but they didn't know what they were. I mean, it was like a birthday. It was, I think, a wedding or a gift for the child, something. So I guess that's where Joseph got it and gave them to them. So, in case you know, no, I think a lot of people were kind of theorizing it was either the great grandfather Joseph, the one humanoid figure that was working with everyone, and that does seem to be the case here with Joseph being the one. So yeah, anyways, after this, they kind of mentioned how much things were going good for the Miller family because of like all the research, the mining factory, and all that. Oh, not mining factory, the mines they were doing, and everything was kind of looking up and up. But then as flashback stories usually go, we get a lot of like darkness with saying that people were starting to get more and more paranoid and more sick because of the whole, morph and suit and all that. Generally, calm and mind isn't really a good thing for your health, and this is like from a time period where we don't even have the current safety restrictions, like things that make things process a lot safer, like the proper mining masks and all that, not to get the suit into your foot and all that. And although safety measures they were not there, so things were getting bad. And then we have the whole like attack and the whole morphs going crazy, which I do think it was there that the morphs were like first like sort of like cute little helpers, like fairies and these type of creatures are in stories, but then they went on a rampage and started like cocooning everyone, attacking them all. So yeah, which makes me kind of wonder where all those adults are right now. The ones that got cocooned and turned into, I'm assuming, Shadow Masters during the whole process. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be explained later. But anyways, then unlike in the Kate flashback where we focus on the Catherine situation, we have Alfred's perspective here. So we have what he's been doing during that time, and we see him running and mentioning how the last time he saw Joseph. In case you're wondering why we can be certain this is the same Joseph that is currently in stores, because he has like a very similar like facial structure, like a gimmick. Like he has like a more square jawed face with a beard and a monocle. Like we very much and the same hairstyle. Like this is very much the same Joseph that's in the story right now. Like it's questionable if he's human Joseph or morph Joseph or what kind of Joseph he is, because it was said that Joseph was researching, so it's not unlikely that some mimic got him and then unified with Joseph after he got whatever condition it was, but we don't really know yet. Regardless, we find out that Joseph had a daughter that he threw to them, but was in a higher levitation. I think it was like second floor. He just threw his daughter to the rest of the servants to take her, so she'll be safe, and they left. And that being the last time that Alfred saw Joseph, his friend. So after that, and them leaving the whole thing, like I think it was even said they left the whole island. We had Alfred finding out about the changes, like that Shadow family took over, and now that they've had their own way of manufacturing suit and benefiting the island, there was no real the desire for the mines that Alfred was owning, so they sort of made the whole thing pointless, and their minings had to be closed off. So not only did they lose everything and were already in decline, they also now lost completely everything, like even their main fundings and all those sources. So they kind of just had to live in like a stone. I'm not, like it's kind of difficult to truly understand how buildings and ownership of these places works in these types of places, but basically they just had like one building outside of the island somewhere that was not very good. It was like very very poor dwellings, but still dwellings nonetheless. Then we find out that Alfred apparently married Joseph's daughter, like literally what he said, that he married Joseph's daughter, which I mean, alright, there is a bit of again, there's like one of those things where it's like, how does the timeline work exactly? Like, how old were characters? And I kind of get the impression, like, again, like, Anthony is supposed to, I mean, alright, so, like, it's kind of difficult again to say how old characters are because, there's a bit of different stuff in ages and that, and like, alright, just because characters debut together, unless it's like a really long time, like Barbara and Mary Rose, there could be huge gaps of ages between the children. Like, Mary Rose could be like 14 when she was taken into the Shadow House, but Barbara could be like 9 or 8, but they would still be both be old because they were like the oldest two in there, and the two that were the longest ones. So it's kind of difficult to again say how old Anthony was here because Anthony, looks a bit younger than Edward. So it's possible like Edward when he got selected was in his like 15, while Anthony could have been like at the end of at the end of the chapter Anthony kind of looks 9 years old, but regardless, like Alfred married Joseph's daughter, which based on the page when we guy look like what I'm going to assume is the proposal. Joseph's daughter kind of looks just 18 age range, like she's just 18. So maybe it took them a while for Joseph's daughter to give birth to Anthony, because again, like, so it should be like a one in there. So again, like the story, the character should be in their like 50s and 40s, but then again, I guess that's like, but again, like, yeah, it's kind of difficult to truly get the general age. Like Anthony should be born. Like, oh, the thing we also have to remember is that Anthony was born before Kate broke out of. Like Kate, like Anthony was born a bit before Kate was officially out of her mother's womb. So it's kind of difficult to say exactly. And I mean, I think if you logistically think about it, okay, so if we look at the 50 years timeline, we have Alfred and Joseph. We have Alfred, who was still to be young, so I'm guessing he was like his early 20s or something. I'm going to say, I'm gonna be charitable and say he was 25. I mean, you could probably say he was even young, but I think he was at least in his 20s, mid 20s, early 20s to mid 20s. Joseph's daughter kind of looks like a toddler or a child, like I want to say 5, 6 years old. So they marry, where she kind like I'm going to assume that he didn't marry her when she was before she was 18 at least, or well maybe 16. Again, like it's Japan, I would not be surprised if she was like 4. Actually, now I think about it, she could actually be 14 as well. Well, regardless, he married her, and then he had a child with her, which was also like what killed her. Like this is the thing, when she reveals the culprit behind this, she dies at childbirth, which seems to be like the last action she did. So I'm going to have to although Anna was there to be younger than Candy, and she's I believe in her like 30s. So Edward and they said that that's even older than Edward, so it would be 20, and Kate looks 10. So I guess maybe she gave birth to him when she was in her let's see, in her like 40s when she died. Like that's I think and gave birth at that age range. I mean, I feel like that has to be the case because the timeline. But regardless, when she gave birth to Anthony and died, whatever age she was, she also revealed that her father was the one who caused this whole thing. And at first, Alfred is a bit in denial, but then he logically thinks like, all right, Joseph was researching on the morphs. He was brilliant, so he it does make sense that whatever them going on rampage, it was his action. We don't know where he was doing that, and she did say it was him, and that's her fault. Like, why would she reveal this information about her right before her death? So Alfred is very sad because Alfred did view Joseph like that, that brother from another mother type of situation, that friend who's so close to you, like, oh yeah, we are best friends, we are brothers actually, like James and Sirius from Harry Potter, so close together that they are basically siblings. So I guess that's how Alfred viewed Joseph, and now he's very much in despair. The fact that Joseph, the one he thought was so close to, betrayed him basically. So yeah, but regardless, it doesn't change anything. Alfred now is in despair, but now desires to get his revenge, but he acknowledges the fact that he's too old. Again, Anthony would have to have been like I mean, if a girl that looks like she would have to have been a child, like a little girl, a child really was in her 40s when she gave birth. The guy wasn't, and this guy was, even if we were charitable, he was at his age, he would still have to be at least, I would say, in his 20s by appearance sake. He was probably in his 6, and he was very, like, you can tell he was very old, like, he had gray hair, and he was very sickly, like, he acknowledged that he wasn't going to live much longer as he's writing all this into his diary. But regardless, he then, as we end this chapter, we have Alfred telling the story to writing everything down in his diary, as he says that his desires and his this conflict that he wants to solve because he dedicated to getting his revenge on the Shah House and fixing all this, all the things he has lost and the reputation of mayor and exposing the Shah House for being the corrupt, the noble family that they are. Uh, but because he couldn't himself, he decided to put all his hopes on Christopher. As we see it ending the chapter off with like Christopher and his like I want to say when he was 10 years old. As he says that how his hopes are all on Christopher, and that's who Christopher was. He was sent by everyone to from the mayor house to infiltrate the house and destroy them from within, and that's what Christopher is doing now. So yeah, that's kind of this chapter and explains to us who Anthony truly is. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised that we are getting so much information on Joseph in this chapter as much as we do. I mean, we don't get much, like we don't get his plot, like we don't get what he was thinking. Like Joseph is very much like the villain in this story, but it's kind of weird that Joseph is like we don't like Joseph hasn't really done much in the story yet. We are already getting he has major involvements into the story. And it's very clearly the same Joseph. Like they're not it's not a big like one of those, oh, is it the same person? The name is the same, but is it the same? Because the appearance is basically identical, just they are wearing different outfits. Like while Joseph in the flashback wore a more butler's outfit, he in this one wears a more I don't know, he actually has like a weird design where it has like a lot of like weird coffles around it, but regardless, Joseph, uh, this is a bit of a backstory on Joseph, so we find out here. But of course, we don't learn too much because again, like, why would he give his daughter away to the rest of the mirrors if he was just gonna take over and make the new house? And this also does explain like what the great grandfather is. Like, I mean, there's been theories the great father is just a figurehead, not an actual person himself, but we don't truly know what the great grandfather is still. Is it a person or is it just some figurehead? Again, we don't really know, so we have to wait and see on that revelation, and I'm assuming we are going to get at some point, but right now, again, it's kind of it's kind of difficult to really give placement for a character who we barely really understand, so right now, it kind of makes it look like Joseph is the big bad guy of the story, but again, we could change things off a bit. Especially since, he hasn't really made his move yet. Like, that's the crazy thing when you think about it. When Anthony is making all of these moves here, all of this planning, and Edward is kind of trying to, is going to try to get, up to speed with Anthony or try to, beat him, whatever, and whatever. We have Joseph, who is supposed to be like the big villain here, and yet the guy hasn't even made his first move yet against Kate. I mean, I guess you could call him going to Kate, showing the briefcase, and all that as his first move against Kate, but it's not really the same because again, he just kind of wanted to confirm that it's Catherine basically. But regardless, that's it for this chapter of Shah House. So we have to wait and see on exactly how things are moving forward. Personally, I feel like the next chapter is just gonna be Anthony getting some kind of form of control, leverage over Kate's head, with it ending on Joseph and him, and then us getting some information on what Joseph's next move is going to be. Because right now it's kind of like one of those things where it's kind of weird to understand what exactly he's planning to do right now. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of Shell House, and now we move to "'Tis Time for Torture Princess," chapter 234. Titled Torture 224. So we start this chapter off with Princess looking up to this torture, which asks question why she's looking up to this torture, which at this point asks please just admit that the princess is completely gone. Like, not only are the tortures barely even could be considered tortures, but the princess is at this point so willing that she's actively planning. Like, she actually thinks, alright, what will I give today? Like, why even pretend anymore? Just give her a better room. Just get the adoption papers, have her be registered as Torture's daughter, and just give up on his whole ruse at this point, because like no one really is buying at this point. It's literally just play dates at this point. But regardless, Princess explains to Axe that she's looking forward to this torture because torture was really building it up. And this torture that she was building up is that that Prince is going to experience a new taste that's only in the demon world as torture appears and gives her something called File Messi So Park, which has a very melty kind of taste towards it as she gives Princess a taste of it and is like excited that she'll try it because this is apparently one of Torture's favorite dishes and she'll be very happy if Princess would be having the same opinion of Torture's dish. As Princess tastes the thing, which just says to you how much it's amazing that the point now it's kind of like, alright, if you are happy here, will you give your torture? Because like at this point they're not even keeping it away from her from admitting it. At this point they're just giving it to her and hoping that she'll be grateful and that they'll make her happy enough to a point that she'll tell them everything. But unfortunately for Torture and to Torture's surprise, Butch is actually not that excited by the taste of it. It's like, yeah, the taste is unique, but it doesn't really, make me very happy. It doesn't really make me feel overjoyed. Like, it's not bad, it's just kind of bland, as this act says. Well, I guess humans and demons would have a different taste bomb, so it's not unreasonable. Something that tastes very good for demons would kind of taste bland for humans. Kind of similar in Tokyo Ghoul, honestly, where ghouls cannot eat. Ghouls tasting human food is very disgusting. Like it feels less like they're eating food and more like they're eating something disgusting like raw fish or like oil or shit or just generally disgusting stuff. Like they can't even tell the difference of them eating shit to eating normal food because both taste like shit. So yeah, they're kind of disappointed by this, but luckily the princess has a brilliant idea of adding ketchup to this dish, and that's a good idea because this makes it taste so much better, and that gives a taste where she's very satisfied with, and she gives the torture. Princess explains us that she has experienced so many tortures at this point she's completely ready in a way of how to make all of her dishes that she gets to eat 100 times better, so she'll submit with all the pride in the world as acts into. I feel like even Torture realizes how weird this sounds like because Torture has like this very yes, Prince. I'm so happy that you're submitting to our torture so quickly. Like I feel like they are aware what she's actually saying, while the princess is completely unaware. She's just so prideful at giving up to tortures. So yeah, and that's the end of the chapter. Like the sweet little chapter. Now we get to 2 chapters of Peak with 100 girlfriends that really, 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 really love you. Chapter 179 titled Rentaro's Family's Flower Viewing and Rentaro's daily life with his girlfriends. Living from his daily life with girlfriends by him going on dates with them, while previously is just interacting with one another. But anyways, let's go with the flower viewing first. As the gang decides to go to a cherry blossom, to go into a forest watching cherry blossom, with a mandatory joke about how the fact their seasons don't change for the characters. Do not worry, girlfriends. I'm certain that Nakaba Suzuki, I'm blanking the name. Noizora Sensei is going to eventually get Christmas outfits for all of your ideas, and he's going to make you all dressed like that for Christmas. I will not be surprised by it. We are just waiting for the day when he gets holiday chapter ideas for all of you, and time will happen. But yeah, anyways, they're all in that cherry blossom forest place, as it's the same place as the one that May and Renter went to. As there's even like a little fourth wall breaking joke about how long has it been. And yeah, it's a nice little reference with them hugging each other as May's family is looking into her happy. Like, we're so happy that May is having a happy life. As then we have other girlfriends, mentioning like how they bought their snacks, like the stores, things they bought, the things that Karen baked, and all that stuff. As there's like even a little joke about like Natty wanting to make hamburgers, but then she ended up making the rice balls, and she's surprised by it. She bought the things, but then started making rice because again, like that, like Natty wants to be in America, but she has like no knowledge and no idea how to make a lot of stuff. So she basically just bought the ingredients and just decided to went with the rice balls because that's the only thing she knows. Like, I really should go take some proper English lessons, at least at some point, if she wants to truly be the American she is. But anyways, doesn't really matter because the only thing that matters is that Kumi is fat, so she just grabs food like a gluttonous god that she is. And then Kat is kind of reacting towards it, like, there's supposed to be for Che, lots of viewing, not for you to devour everything, right? Like, it's called step back, sit down and sniff the flowers, not sit down and eat the dango, which there is no dango there. So Kumino gets hungry for dango, which is something Kiki doesn't regret, like, oh shit, that's why she gets hungry if I say a word. But luckily for her, Rentaro came prepared, similar to Natty's hamburger situation, with all the food in the world for her to eat, because Rentaro kind of expected this to happen. Which I kind of want keeps his stuff, as then Kumi is so happy that she's like, marry me! As Rentaro explains to her, that is the plan, marrying you is the plan, lady. As then the new girlfriend's the one who weren't in the fake marriage chapter. They're like, oh yeah, that's right, they're all engaged. Yeah, how great for them. We wish we could be married as well, but don't worry, ladies. Rentaro is prepared to ask you all to marry him as well. She immediately brings up the bouquet of flowers, and they all immediately agree with. I'm kind of surprised that we have the marriage proposals for the new girlfriends already, since there's usually a bit of a number gimmick we're going with. How many girlfriends have to be had before we get one of those chapters? But I guess the marriage chapter is gonna be like one of those things where engagement chapter is gonna be like one of those things that's gonna be more random things that's gonna happen with random number of girlfriends. But regardless, they all agree to the marriage plan. Then we have a little drunk joke with all the adults there, getting drunk off their asses, and yeah, and then we have the girls kind of doing their activities, like Kishika and Iko doing their movements, Zetsu drawing, and they'll joke about how some of these are like fairy tale characters, with Zetsu looking at, well, yeah, I'm blanking on her name right now. The one with the animals is being very playful with animals, like a Disney princess, as Zetsu's looking at, wow, real fairy tale scenery. As then Uta and Kiki try to join in, but those two are just being sent away by the fairy tale creatures. The question is, did Uta send them away, or was it Kiki that sent them away? No one knows. No one will know. But yeah, anyways, then we have the little joke about the petals starting to fall around the place. Like, they fall on Aqua and Kane's cheeks, so they have like, and then Usa puts one on her cheek, so we get like the gal trio, which makes me kind of wonder when we're gonna have like a gals chapter with all of them. But regardless, future chapters are future chapters. And then we have like a little joke about pals falling on some of their breasts, so like the ones with their big boobs have like pals stuck on them, and Karane kind of wants that as well, because she's very self-conscious about her breast size. But luckily for her, one pal does fall on her chest as her Kari returns the favor, because Karen did that for her beforehand, because she tried to lure Rentaro to her, but Kari was there to stop God in the way. And then Hakari immediately puts it away as well, even though that whole point is supposed to make Karen feel bad about her breast size. They also get a little joke with Eri, because she looks at her chest, because she's also like one of the bigger ones. but she's happy that there is nothing. But unfortunately for her, she has a big ass as well. So her Brazilian booty gets a bunch of the pals on her as Mimi completely goes on the eat the cake sequence as Eri tries to put away, but Mumiji just grabs her breasts now. You cannot get rid of her grappling powers. So yeah, anyways, then we have gusts of wheels kind of picking up as more and more pals starting to flood, like the ones with glasses get pals in their eyes, and they're like unable to see stuff. Like Kusuri is unable to see anything, and also she's in her adult form here because she drank the you become allergic to Pal's drug, which I don't know why she would have that drug on her person, but whatever. Let's stop questioning her logic at this point. So we have a bunch of them getting so the win is getting extreme, so extreme even that Suzuki is being picked up because she's light as a feather. At first, it kind of looks like she's a fairy, but then the gust of wind becomes extreme, and it's time to blow Suzuki away. But not to worry, no one's there to save her from being thrown who knows how far. But unfortunately for the girlfriends, the gust of wind is so big now that it's actually sending a tree towards them. But luckily for them, Rento is there to handle the tree itself. But gets covered with cherry blossom and is now stuck for some time as a cherry blossom man, as the news reports. Poor Rento. But at least he saved his girlfriends. So yeah, that's it for this chapter. Again, it's just like a nice little chapter for all the girlfriends. As then we get to our next kind of little arc chapters where we have Ento going on dates with his girlfriends part 1. As we start this chapter off with Rento and Ara's date, which is just a reference to the fact that she's a little bit older, kind of looking like a big sister with her little brother situation there. Although to be fair, they are different enough design-wise that I don't think know why they would think that Rento is Ara's little brother, but whatever. Then we have Rento and Iko going on a date, which is just them trying to avoid an indirect kiss, but then just going with a normal kiss. And Rento and Uta date, where Uta goes sit on Rento, so he will give her that romantic hug, even though she's a bit embarrassed about it, but he does so because he can read minds. Then we have Rento and Hai date, which is them just walking the park and kind of having the same mindset a bit, because when it comes to the loving dovey stuff, they're kind of on the same page most of the time. Then we have Rento and Tama date, where we see just how much of an animal Tama is, to a point that Rento just casually got into bed with his girlfriend, which is in some way a cat, which he says that Tama's cat levels are over 9,000 basically. Then we have Renta and Usa date, which is just a joke about how she's very unable to be alone because she needs to go to the girl's bathroom, but Renta can't go into the girl's bathroom, so Usa has to go there alone. And when she's there alone, she's kind of like, "I'm going to die," because that's kind of the thing. She cannot handle being alone. So when she comes out, she's very happy. In fact, she even turns into a rabbit in this scene. So so I guess he's gonna have a similar gag with the design as Tama has, where when she's a little bit less detailed, or in scenario she's less detailed, she's actually looks more like an actual animal in instance. Like the last chapter with Tama acting like a literal cat, and also looked like a literal cat, just a bit oversized. And the same thing is going to happen here with Usa now acting like a straight up cat, looking like a straight up bunny. Well, black rabbit, but still a fucking bunny. So yeah, now we have Usa coming out of the bathroom. She comes in and goes to jump on Rento as if she and Rento haven't seen each other for ages, but Rento has kind of Moggy's a bit more full breaking here. We've only been gone for a few minutes. Why are you acting like we haven't seen for ages? But he's also the same page about her missing her. Then we have Rento and Kusuru being on a date, which is just us getting perspective on the little personality shift that Kusuri has when she's in her 8 years old and her 18 years old selves, where the 18 version of her and Kusuri's 8-year-old version of her have a different opinion of Rento, where Rento also has a different opinion on Kusuri when she is in when she changed her age. Then we have a Kiki date where he has a weirdly normal date of things, considering he just referenced like everyone listens to Kiki's music, but only Rentaro is dating Kiki. Granted, I feel like Kurumi has a good chance of dating you as well, but we'll get into how much you girls consider yourselves dating one another a little bit later. But regardless, then we have a meme date where Rento fell asleep out of character for him to fall asleep while he's on a date with one of his girlfriends. But regardless, he fell asleep, so Mimi kind of doesn't sees the opportunity to do something, but she doesn't want to take the opportunity because that's perverted and wrong because it's not puppet Rento. But unfortunately, she's unable to contain herself, so she starts doing it with Rento. Not in the actual body to body, the lip to lip type of thing, but Rento starts to wake up and Mimi panics. Then we have Aqua and Rento date when they kiss in the photo booth. And they want to doodle, but unfortunately for them, the time runs out before they can doodle on their picture, so they have to repeat it. Then we have Rentaro and Zetsu going on a date where Zetsu talks about dates in fairy tales, which puts her in the mood for kissing, and they start kissing in a more private place for a good long ass while, which now makes me think that most of Rentaro's dates well, at least solo dates, end with a couple of hours of them just kissing. Then we have Rento and Yaku date, where Rento again has like this the weird dilemma where like does Yaku actually view him like a boyfriend, or does she just view it as like a child that she's playing along with his illusions? But unfortunately, he falls asleep again on character for him, which puts Yaku a bit of a not in a negative mood, but that's kind of make her. I do wish he could have been awake for a bit longer, but she kind of doesn't want can't really wake him up or anything. But that's pretty much it. Then we have our Rento and Hakai date, where we have a little joke about Hakai throwing her G cups on Rento 24/7, and she's like, "Wait, does Rento not want my G cups?" Because Rento's like, "No," but she doesn't know why. But Rento tells her that he will not be able to hold himself if she constantly like shoves her G cups in his face. But Hakai's happy because this means that he does want her G cups. Not understanding the problem here, but whatever. All I know is this is an indication that she hasn't been kissing Karani for a while. Then we have our Renta and Kurumi date. I'm surprised that we have this a Kurumi date this chapter, but I don't know. Maybe this is like an idea I forgot before doing the date with the date chapter with Kurumi. But regardless, Rento goes on there with Kurumi as they are playing that tricky claw machine and no one can, where it's almost impossible to get a toy or anything from. But and the same goes for Rento, and even his Chadas is not able to get the toy, but luckily for Rento, Kurumi takes over the playing machine. So she's able to get the toy, and Rento asks how she got so good at it, and explains that she needed to get good at them because she couldn't waste much money on these claw machines to get the tickets for the food that she wanted. So she kind of needed to get the things because otherwise she would not be able to, be not angry 24/7. We also get a little bit of full bacon joke about the Karate and Hawaii dolls, which reminds me of the fact I cannot get the Hawaii and Hakari and Karani dolls, but that's besides the point. So regardless, then we end this chapter with a Rento and Shizuka date, where Shizuka and Rento are at her place as they are reading a history book, I think, or a fantasy book. They are reading a book, but they are in a part where the main characters kiss. How they get in a mood of kissing. So they are in their limits. They first try to resist the urge, but they can't. So they just start kissing. When Suzuka's mother comes into her place and wants to give her their food, and she tries to knock on the door, but she hears them kissing. So like, well, I mean, Suzuka is a high schooler, it's only natural. Then she waits a little while. I'm assuming for a few hours. Like, okay, now they are supposed to be doing this, but this is just getting ridiculous. And then they wait a few more while, and it's like, okay, now this is just ridiculous. As she gets on her limits. What kind of limit she has, it's unclear because is she afraid like she cannot wait outside this long, or if she's just getting envious of Shizuku getting so much love from her boyfriend. Because I don't know if Shizuku, it was saying if Shizuku's father is dead or if he's just in a different nation. One of those like working overseas type of situation. But regardless, she's not just getting kind of a limit. It's kind of funny to think how normal Shizuku's mother is of all characters. Like, it's so weird. Like, she was just like this very bad parent, or like this very negative, this kind of abusive parent a bit. But now she's like the most normal parent in the entire Rento family. Like, if you were to put all the parents together from the family, you should probably be on the normal side. I mean, most of the parents in Rento's family are relatively normal as things go. It's honestly more the ones who are in the story more often than the weird ones, but it's still kind of weird to think that she's so normal. I imagine we'll probably get some crazy parents later on. I mean, I would definitely imagine Kurumi's parents have to be insane. At least some aspect of them has to be insane to the fact that Kurumi was satisfied, but regardless, we have to wait and see on how the other parents are gonna be. So yeah, anyways, after the peakness of 100 Girlfriends, we have the Four Nights of the Apocalypse chapter duo, as we have chapter 153 titled Towards a New Adventure, and chapter 154, Departing. Kind of a weird, yeah, there's the Departing is gonna be a very interesting title for a chapter. So yeah, anyways, we didn't start the chapter off with a little bit of a, I want to say, meta joke with the characters and acknowledge saying that the thing that brought Percival back, not who knows how many medicines, not some kind of ritual, not some kind of ability, but Nauseon's life in danger, being in danger and all that. As King also tries to tell Percival all the things that happened, all the dedication that Nauseans gave to Percival, as Percival tells King, yeah, I know about it, I heard all that, because, confirming, yeah, Percival was there all the time and listening to everything. Probably the reason why he got the different perspective that he got. And Nauseans is a bit embarrassed about the whole thing. But regardless, King also gives Nauseans a piece of the Spirit Spear, so he can use it since he is more compatible with the children, only one compatible with of the children. So he's now able to use it, which does make Sixes a bit envious, because now first he was talked about like being the next king, but now it's now it's more suitable. But Nauseans informs all of them that, yeah, I don't want to be the next king, I'm just going to be a pharmacist. Sixes can be the king for all I care. In fact, it seems like everyone else does agree that Sixes should be king. I mean, they don't say it, but I'm kind of imagining they would be more like, I feel like this would be the king here. So yeah, that kind of gives a bit of, no, this kind of starts a little bit of running gag with King getting verbally abused by Nauseans a lot, like saying, I want to be king, I'm not staying here, I'm going to be a pharmacist. And, still referring to them as to Oldback, no, not Oldback, to their previous family, all that. And yeah, so it seems like, it's something like you kind of wonder, can there be a different fairy king if the throne is given to someone else? Because, characters are mostly, because, it seems like this next wizard, the next fairy king is selected by the spirit tree, not something you can just get through merit or just something you can marry into. So it's kind of raises this question on how this works. Like, maybe I guess you could say it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no force that's forcing Nauseans to forces for there to be the next. Like, I imagine once King dies or whatever happens, or the next wizard king, next fairy king is chosen, they can just come over and take the throne. But again, it's kind of hard to say exactly. But yeah, anyways, after that, then we also find out that Jug of Yolk was stolen by Waldane, so at least she accomplished the task. Which is like one of those things where it was like in the previous chapter, like, did she steal it or not? Because we don't see a drug of Yore being recovered by anyone. We just see her like being there for a bit and then gone. So I mean, we find out that the Waldane pretty much ate the drug of Yore during the whole thing, so she would be able to keep it safe in her. But regardless, Waldane has successfully stolen the drug of Yore, and again, that's kind of a little bit joke about King being abused and being beaten down. But what can you do, I suppose? As then we have Nauseance and Percival about to depart to go back to Britannia and to inform the situation for everyone. But not, but Nauseance, before he leaves, he does sort of finally like acknowledges the truth and how he things he was trying to keep more secret about his family relations, about like mom, dad, I'll see you soon. As he leaves with Percival, is very happy the fact that he acknowledges them, especially the end, because King read in his mind the previous chapter about how Nonsense views about them, but the end never learned. Like she could probably guess that he did have a positive opinion on them, but she didn't know exactly. So yeah, anyways, Nauseance and Percival now leave to go to Britannia. There's a little talk about some stuff, and there's like a little joke about which gender is Nauseance gonna pick, but Nonsense says that it depends on what gender Percival wants, but Percival doesn't really care. So Nonsense will be like, I wish you could give me a straight answer, as then Percival and Nauseance fly away, as Nauseance has a bit of a hard time controlling the flight, because Percival at least previously had ability to fly, even if I would say this time he has a bit of a higher level, because previously he had to be covered with his Percival hope magic, but now he's able to do it freeform. Or maybe that's just because of the limitation, or maybe that's just the limitations, but of the artistry, like week to week chapters are kind of an issue. So maybe that's like one of the things that's gonna be different in the volume. But regardless, Percival and Nauseance leave and go to Britannia as we end this chapter. So yeah, we will have the reunion of the Percival platoon pretty soon. And I'm going to also assume that we're gonna get like a little bit of an explanation of where exactly the rest of the 4 Knights are going to be right now. Because again, like Lancelot seems to still be in Bond's kingdom from what we know of. Tradition is unknown to us where he went. There's speculation that he's in a dungeon somewhere. While Gawain hasn't even been referenced where she is. I mean, we could kind of assume that she's probably in Lyones, because they should have probably mentioned her at this point if her location was unknown. But regardless, we'll see on all that revelations later. So yeah. Now on to the next chapter of Knights of the Apocalypse, chapter 154, titled Departing. Wait, Departing? Wait a minute! No, Percival, we just got you! No reason to separate from everyone already. I mean, come on, I thought we were going to, join back together since, let's be honest to ourselves, these dramas are kind of unnecessary if we have multiple characters going through them. Or, I mean, we already have the trouble with Tristan, we don't need more. Alright, to be fair, this isn't a chapter focusing on Percival's platoon, it's actually one of those one-off chapters where we focus on the villains, and oh boy, does the parting is a very big red flag when it comes to what happens in this chapter. But yeah, anyways, we start this chapter off with Arthur summoning Ironside and Pelgar to get like a sort of a little brief, a little, So we finally got kind of the engagements with our main opponents, and let's just say we need to talk about our little power dynamic, if you know what I mean. As Arthur is there and Pelgar and Ironside are both very respect to him and kind of want to know why he summoned them, as he teleports something very disgusting, being covered by a blanket behind Ironside and Pelgar, as he tells them to look at what it is. And they uncloak it and they reveal Waldane's aged up and torn to pieces gutted body after King's spear. Well, King's sacred spear, just to be clear. As he tells them this is the power of the sins, and kind of wants to like show the gap of power they have. As then he also kind of starts chewing them out, like Ironside go up against Bond, even though the four evils are ordered not to go up against the sins. And then he also shows them the danger they pose. But unfortunately, they do have a certain level advantage here because Walden, after some time of being shown in that state that she was left in when she got hit by a king, she recovers and regenerates back to the same form she was before Percival even used his de-aging ability, or not the aging ability, his life-sucking ability. She's completely recovered with her giving the drug of yore to to Arthur as we found in the last chapter it was stolen. So yeah. Now this makes me kind of wonder about like what is the logic behind this regeneration, because this is definitely what she was referring to when she mentioned that she has another trump card up her sleeve, which we find in this chapter is actually some kind of fusion with the chaos power. I'm not entirely certain if there's some greater lore implications here because well, let's just say there's a. I'll get into it a couple seconds in a moment, but let's just say that again, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what the hell's up with Waldane. But regardless, we find out in this chapter that Waldane and Beltrapa, the reason why they are so much more powerful and feel so much more even to the Saints than Ironside and Palgat were, is because they made a contract with Chaos, and they, got a power up. So Walden here shows off the power of Chaos by regenerating, which again makes me kind of wonder why did she wait until this? Because like this is like one of those weird things where you have to think of like in universe that because like she had to have come to Arthur like she has to have like opened the gate and come to him so to tell him that he should have got it. Like she would have to have informed him. Because like there's no implication that she used the portal between while she was being flung out of the fairy forest, fairy realm. So does that mean that Arthur thought, oh wait, before you regenerate, we need to scare the shit out of Ironside and Palgat. I mean, I know you're in a lot of pain right now, but we need to do it. Or is that just something that like randomly activates after a certain time period? Because like this is really like one of those things where I have to question how did the whole process go? Like why was she still fucking brutalized? Like it's even more brutal. It's not like just being gutted. Like you see her eye out of her hanging out of her socket, for crying out loud. But regardless, Waldane also informs Arthur and everyone, which again makes me question how much he communicated before this, about Percival's revival, which doesn't really shock Arthur as much, or not that he's not surprised, it's just that he's more, I guess all of the four enemies are back on the menu for us to be attacked, as then we have Ironside questioning, wait, so what did Mortlock's sacrifice bring? Because, Mortlock's final deed got rid of Percival, but now he just died. Died because it really means nothing. Like, this is like one of those times where captains actually do react and address the fact that, like, their side does the sacrifices. They do everything they can. Yet the good guys essentially just recover after a few seconds. It's kind of like one of those moments. And it kind of does again submit that Ironside was being truthful when it comes to how close he felt with Mortlock. Like, it's like one of those things where he didn't give a shit about Mortlock. Like, he did care about him. It's just, it's like one of those things where he prioritized his son over his brother-in-law. So it's like, yes, I'm sad that my brother-in-law died, but at least he died for a good cause. But no, he just died in vain. He died pointlessly. He died for a couple of months at most, maybe a year or two, of waiting. So, yeah. And then as they're talking, we also then have, after we chastise Ironside a bit, we then have Arthur talking to Pelgard, and him revealing that he learned that Pelgard did indeed, betray him. that he did, the whole thing he did a couple of chapters back before the Fairy Forest, where he used a giant flame to like make it block the field or where the protagonists were, so they could but big enough so they could escape through the gate. He did that, and Arthur figured out. Well, they figured out there was been no bodies or evidence of bodies there, just a burned weapon. So they put the pieces together, like there's this gate they have so they can move in and out. Balga made a giant flame circle, their weapons are there. Before Palgat he did his technique, he got hit with Gopher's attack. Clearly he forced what he does, so they put the pieces together. At that point, Palgat does kind of consider fighting Arthur, but he doesn't really do anything because Arthur for a reveal shows them behind a picture of the two people that Pelgot and Ironside care the most about, and the reason why they are so involved in here, being Pelgot's wife and Ironside's son, the Audrey. As we see that Pelgot's wife is next to it wasn't Macduff, but it was something very similar to it. The guy who was limiting Bond's power to 10% of his original power, and then we see that the two guys that Mortlock ordered to take care of Deirdre when he was sent on that mission to the Demon Realm. So we see those two are there next to Diogen and Pelgot's wife, so the threat is clear. Not only you two cannot defeat me, or at least Pelgot cannot defeat Arthur because he was the one who's actually kind of looking like he's gonna start fighting, but even if you do, we'll just have them be killed by those knights quickly. So they know in their position they are. So now Arthur brings the deal. Like he mentions, our enemies, the Seven Sins and Four Knights of the Apocalypse, are clearly way above us. They have inhuman abilities that greatly surpasses our own. You know, kind of like mentioning what a lot of the fan base will talk about, how like a lot of the villains, or at least Arthur's side, doesn't really feel much of a threat. Like, yeah, you can justify it with chaos and all, but like, I mean, sorry, but you can only say chaos, chaos, chaos so much until it's like, yeah, it kind of still loses its appeal and loses its threat level. So now, Arthur brings this up here, which says they're just greatly stronger. Like you have royal demons, you have fairy royalty, you have just too much of everything. Like the closest thing to humanity, or at least human limits that their side has, are Bond, who's used his immortality to grow way beyond human limits, and Gawain, who might be more of a homunculus than anything else, and a few hybrids who are combined with royal blood from fairies and demons, and a life spirit. So it's like one of those things where everyone is sort of in a bat, so it's like the protagonist side is too overpowered compared to Arthur's side to just be for them to be able to catch up. So Arthur gives and now that Arthur is also holding the lives of the ones who was closest to the Pelgot and so he gives Ironside and Pelgot basically the impossible deal. And that is, of course, he proposes to them a chaos contract so they'll become able to beings, hybrids, I'm guessing, between humanity and chaos, where they'll be able to way surpass their limits, which is what he gave to Woldane and Beltrepe as boosts and the reason why they're so powerful. The reason like why Gover was like, oh shit, we shouldn't be messing with Beltrepe, and the reason why Woldane was so, was doing so much against the characters. So in that sense, we have those feats from them. No, I'm not very surprised there is some fusion with Chaos and all that. Like, we all kind of figured there was gonna be something like this, like, from the previous story, and generally, there being no reason why not to, especially with how much it was clear there was a gap of power. Although this kind of make me kind of wonder why it took this long for Arthur to come up with this, especially since at least the implication seems to be that not every single one of the four evils has something very close to that. Like he said, oh, I had to do a little bit more show for Ironside and Pelgar because the two of them have a bit more pride than Walding. I think it's more of that thing where Walding has no attachment, so her getting more power is kind of like it doesn't really matter because we'll find out at the end of the chapter that there is a side effect to this contract that only really works if you don't, a contract that would work really well if you had nothing thing close to yourself. So this time we find out, so because of that aspect of the contract, it's kind of hard to get people to truly get servants. Although again, I kind of feel like some would get this contract, and that's kind of making me wonder why it's so limited. Because I don't know, I feel like Jericho. I feel like if you told Jericho that the side effect of this contract, she would still have chosen it, or maybe if I would be for the best. Like I wonder why she's not getting this contract. I mean, to be fair, she might get this contract again. Like, I mean, I will not be surprised if we get like a proto round table type of setup, because you know how iconic the round table is, where we have Arthur just getting a bunch of other knights to be a part of it and giving them chaos contracts. Like I wouldn't even be surprised with five and four. There's nine. So and now that he has and between him and the four evils, there's only five. So I would not be surprised if he does have some kind of tournament where knights will have to prove themselves to be worthy of becoming a new sort of unit. I mean, we've seen Arthur in the four evils, but that could just mean those are still the ones that are his top men. But regardless, we have Ironside and Belgot agreeing to this contract very begrudgingly, as you can tell by their faces, and a very cool panel where Arthur brings up some chaos beast behind him, and he's like, "You'd agree to it, right?" It's like it's your choice. You have two paths now: either death, including your loved ones, or you prosper and you live happily in Camelot as Camelot prospers. And in that sense, being basically forced to they agree to these contracts as Arthur sends chaos magic into their bodies, like through their mouths, and that kind of starts to like mutate their appearance, which makes me kind of think they do have a transformation, which it kind of brings up a good question, like how much was Swolden going full out yet if they have like these weird like little transformational things, especially considering how much transformation is a part of chaos magic from what we've seen. But regardless, they formed the contract, and there's a little talk about them. Now, when they are recovering from this contract, Voldane refers to Ironside as a young lad, which is interesting because she also says, "How was your first contract?" So, is this means that Voldane had multiple contracts, or at least she had to redo them multiple times, or she had to have had multiple times when she encountered? Because, like, from what we know of, I mean, Walden is kind of a weird character where she might be a lot older than we think she is, or she's just a very arrogant witch type of character. I mean, they do refer to her as a witch in this chapter, funny enough, even though she was previously referred to as the White Knight. But regardless, she refers to them as lads, so I'm kind of getting curious on when she and Beltrippin made their contracts, especially if they did multiple of them. Maybe not exactly with Arthur, but with the other beings. So I don't really know on that side. But anyways, Arthur just tells her to shut up. But then Arthur mentions you'll do what you have to for Camelot and for Deodre. But Arthur's like, Deodre? In like a question sense. And we find the reason why he's questioning it from Palgard's mouth, because when Arthur shown that image of their loved ones, he still has that image behind them. So Palgard, when he recovers and looks up, he spots that woman. But the thing is, he doesn't know that one because he asked Arthur, "Who is that woman?" So these contracts, they had greater power, but they also lost their connection to, or forfeited their connection to their loved ones. So this woman and the Odre are now strangers for Palgard and Ironside respectively. So, yeah, that just took another turn. All that allyship between Palgard and the rest of the characters is now gone because of Arthur's Chaos contracts. So, yeah. This is not looking good at all. No, again, I'm not sure if we're gonna. I'm not sure that we're gonna keep this up for the next chapter. If we're gonna change and focus on the protagonist again, because again, we haven't had a reunion. Actually, I could see the next chapter focusing mostly on the villain still, and then ending it up with Percival and Nazit's reuniting with everyone. But we don't know how that's gonna go. But right now, it seems to like we had a couple of weird thing. The real shock is supposed to be the fact that they no longer know who their loved ones are. I'm assuming we might also get more of an explanation about this contract later because again they keep it relatively vague. Just you have to form the contract with Chaos, but what kind of contract it is, like how this works, we don't really know. So yeah. Now that we're done talking about Financial Apocalypse, it's time that we're talking about a series that's, well, this is going to be the last video we're going to be talking about it in this format, and that's of course Eden Zero, who, as you're probably aware of, got its final chapter came out this week. And unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to talk about 3 chapters this week for Eden Zero because I missed one, because I think it came a bit later. And yeah, although it's mostly just wrap up pop chapters, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, so I don't think it should take this long. So yeah, anyways, first one of the 3 is Eden Zero, chapter 291, titled My Role. As it starts with Shiki doing that hero speech, just kind of continuing from the last one, about how he saw that he couldn't recognize her pain, and that this is her, but let's come back to back to a ship to be with friends and all that. As Rebecca and remembers who she is because she was put in this like weird sort of comatose state where her future persona is the main memory with still desiring the Big Bang kind of plan thing. So she gets those memories back. So then, I guess she dispels that persona, that the future version of her, or sends that or puts that persona to peace, with the exceptions of having all the memories of her life, knowing that no, she'll have indirectly she'll have the life that she lost in the previous in her timeline something. I don't know, it's kind of hard to exactly word what happens, but regardless, it's able to maybe it's like Shiki's gravity also. Like, I think it's also like Shiki's using his gravity like to send Rebecca's chronophaginess out of her, and they are able to do so. So chronophage is the spell of Rebecca's body, and it just evaporates and disappears for good. As then we have Shiki and Rebecca again reuniting and being happy, and a little bit of a joke at the fact that she's butt-ass naked in space. Sometimes Mashima even surprises us with how horny he can be. But yeah, anyways, then we just have characters, being informed that everything's over as they're all reuniting on the ship. So everyone's kind of happy as we have Pino looking at everyone being happy as she says, I'm so happy that they managed to save the day and stop everyone. And with that, my role is complete as Pino shuts down because, I don't know, I guess just shut down program there. I'll get into it once we get through all the chapters. But anyways, Pino shuts down, we have that like dramatic scene. Then we have chapter 292 for Eden Zero, Friendship Never Ends. As we start this chapter off with the human stars meeting the shining stars, which is, I'm not entirely sure this is supposed to imply how they saved the Earth in this timeline, or if this is just what Pino thinks happens. But regardless, we have the shining stars meeting the human stars. As we get kind of a little like we have little jokes about some of them. Like talk about how weird that we were based off of these people. Like what's her name? Valkyrie is kind of surprised at the fact that she was based off a surfer, while human Valkyrie tells her, "Why did I'm a scientist. Did I become a swordswoman if a swordswoman admits that she's a dumbass?" Because Valkyrie is a lot of things, but she's not a very intelligent character, so it's kind of weird that she's based on a human who's really highly intelligent. Because like Hermit is intelligent, and her shining star is also very intelligent, so it's kind of a weird thing that they are opposites kind of. And then you have Sister, who's kind of surprised because Sister is a healer in a non-outfit, while human sister is, well, actually, I'm kind of not entirely sure what's so weird about her imagining herself as a nun. I guess because she's a dominatrix, but Sister Ivory is a dominatrix nun, so it doesn't really make sense that there was like, so it's kind of a weird thing. There's a bit of a conflict there, but regardless, Sister, I'm guessing, heals the human sister because she did get healed in the previous timeline anyway, so now it's just like the healing medicine comes faster. And yeah, I'm guessing they just want to meet their original selves here because I don't think these two do anything like massively, because it seems like Hermit and Witch were the two who did actual beneficial things for society, with Hermit revealing all that, like that, yeah, all of your theories that you and Killer got are actually 100% correct. Like here are the finished products, the final solutions. Like no prototype necessary. You don't need to use Sister Ivory as a guinea pig. Here's everything. And Witch meets Human Witch, and she also explains everything. And yeah, everything goes through, and just kind of skipping over the process and kind of give. Alright, here's the end of your research, and now you can start everything completely. As then I think was it Leonard or Leonhard or something? With Wizard's real name, whereas he shows up as well, as he asks, "Oh hey, which human's name? Who are you talking to?" As Witch doesn't know Leonhard, like human wizard. She does not know that he's based, like Wizard is based off him. So she leaves him immediately. She doesn't want to interact with him because when she defeated Wizard, she was kind of like, I really wish we could have been lovers, or like in a timeline where we could have gone along well together. And this is the timeline that she was kind of hoping for, and she's kind of teary-eyed about that as she leaves and wishes them good luck with their child, or their child to have a happy life. Because if you remember, Shiki is human Witch's son, so we have that kind of situation here. Which, now that we have this Dark Stars being referenced, it does make me kind of wonder on where are they? Because, like, I don't know how to say this. Maybe I'm forgetting the chapters. I mean, they've been defeated relatively early on. Like, I want to say they were defeated, like, they were kind of like the first ones defeated from the antagonist side, but then most of them just had their limbs destroyed, like their bodies incapable to moving forward. Like, I don't think their cores were destroyed, or in a way their cores were destroyed. Not like Cure when he got his core directly attacked and destroyed, or Lightning Lock, who I think was completely blown up, and Lady Freya, who I think she was blown off fully, but then we have remains of her body looking somewhat in contact. But again, she kind of, I think, looked like she was blew up, so you could make a sense that her core was destroyed. But I think the Dark Stars didn't have their bodies destroyed or good or like massively. Like, I think they were generally like just cut to a point they couldn't continue. Like, like no arms, no limb, no lower halves, stuff like that. So it's kind of weird how we don't have them being referenced here at all, especially in the next chapter, which we'll get into it in the next chapter soon. But regardless, they get informed of everything, and we then have our time skip 16 years later when Shiki is 16 and all that. So we just have Shiki and human Rebecca going to their school together, where Rebecca kind of has like a similar sort of thing as she has in the Space Rebecca, as she's like in school. Not entirely certain if this is supposed to imply that like the Rebecca and her people are all the same type of that human Rebecca. How do I not say this now? I'm not sure this implies that Rebecca's family left the planet, or if their genes got into different planets, and that's the reason why there's spurt in the future. This is just a coincidence. There's another character that looks identical to Rebecca and was also named Rebecca. You know, one of those like insane amount of contrivance that everyone got their children in the exact same year, so they can all be together and like those contrivances they do a lot of times in sequel series where everything goes like perfectly hand in hand. So regardless, we have Rebecca in her I think college or high school or something, or is it middle school? I might that's it. One of the two. They're in their school they're together as they meet each other for the first time, and it's love at first sight as they try to introduce each. Well, they sort of start to introduce each other, but then a human version of Pino shows up as we find this on this Earth. Pino is Rebecca's little sister, which, to be fair, there was some foreshadowing. Like Pino was kind of the child of the group, and uh, I think Pino and Clean were kind of treated like little sisters of the group anyway, so it does kind of make sense that Rebecca would end up being like the big sister in this. I'm going to assume what Pino is imagining this situation of is because she does again like it's kind of vague on what exactly this is. Is this like a shot of the future, or if this is like Pino's imagination of how the events got solved? But regardless, this version of Shiki meets Pino, and he asks if they can be friends because it's the first time they're meeting and all that, and kind of like accidentally becoming a whole group. The same, which it's always kind of funny when you have animes like this where most of the cast are the same age, but then you have like one character who's like way younger because they're a child, and yet they're still somehow hanging up. But regardless, this isn't starting a sequel series to Zero being a slice of life manga. This is just again some weird, maybe future, maybe Pino's imagination of the future because as we come to the final page of the chapter, we have Shiki like hugging Pino as he's crying because he realized that she's shut down and it stopped functioning for some unexplained reason. Like I don't know if it was ever said that Pino has protocols for like shutting down once the mission is complete. But regardless, now we get to the final chapter of Eden Zero, chapter 293, titled Friends, which makes sense since that was kind of the original goal of Shiki to have like 100 or a bunch, some weird, huge number of friends across the galaxy. So yeah. Anyways, we start this chapter off with Zenome making one last appearance as she's narrating because you can't have the series final chapter be without its narrator. So Zenome appears. I'm assuming that she probably it was like one of those like pre-recorded things. We'll get to the chapter number later. But regardless, we didn't have like very quick flashes of what's happening. Like we have Rishiki in the current state, like living in Greenville with taking care of Pino and fixing a few machines. As one of the friends there informs Shiki, "Hey Shiki, Rebecca's giving birth. You have to go." And she's like, "Oh my God, I completely forgot. I have to go there immediately." As there's like a joke about saying back, "Where honestly, that boy, where did he get that?" As he looks at it, "Ha, where's my hand? Where's my hand? Someone give me my hand. I need to go fix it before I have my guess daughter-in-law's gives see my grandchild. I have to go." And yeah, everyone's kind of like just there, and they are going to give to Rebecca giving birth. Then where Shiki sees that uh, uh, Witch and Sister Ivory are there saying that, "Oh, it's time for the operation," because they'll be the ones giving birth, but Shiki is panicky because his wife is giving birth. So yeah. And this is what I mean in the last chapter, like what happened to the Dark Stars, because you would kind of think that, I kind of thought in this, that what they're gonna be doing is that, like, in the final chapter, they're gonna reveal that the Dark Stars have, their programming has been fixed to be more similar to how the programming for the Shining Stars was, because there was like, because they were based off of the human people, and the human characters, or the human versions of them, were nice people, legitimately good people who side with the Shining Stars. Like, even, like, that's kind of even a thing, when we got like those flashbacks about the human lives of the Shining Stars and Dark Stars, where, like, even though the Brigandine, human version of Brigandine, had no idea what anyone was talking about, had no idea what's even going on, because he was just her boyfriend. He was nothing else. He still loved human Valkyrie enough to the point, like, I don't care if this is what you think we have to do, I'll go along with it. So it's kind of a weird thing how we don't have them referenced at all here, even though I feel like in this instance it would be kind of a logical instance, like with Sister Ivory, who is a medical individual now, and even the last chapter we did see a future version of human Ivory where she was a sister after she got better. So you'd kind of think that Sister Ivory and Clown would kind of be the ones giving in that procedure, at least be mentioned there. Like I was saying, I took the time off. I took the time off. Thankfully, Clown is like wherever her sister is healing things. Like I'm mentioning, like, oh yeah, I took time off and have left Clown in charge of the people at the guild. So again, it's kind of a weird thing that he never really that he's not mentioned at all. Same goes for the Wizard. Like, I'm not saying you have to end up together or anything. Like the Dark Side and Shining Side need to be together, but it's kind of weird they're not even referenced. Same goes for the other guys. Like, we didn't cut to Wise and Hermit being together and doing their things. Like, they don't mention like Killer being there as an assistant or an extra brain there. Kind of similar. That's how he was in the last chapter with Human. Like, he was like, oh, like he was in a different room, be like, two hermit, like two hermits, what's going on? So it's kind of weird that he's not there as well. Like, maybe, like, the one they used to inform it is the guy that was Weiss's friend in different time. Weiss's friend, the guy who's the gangster. Kind of weird that he's not also there or anything. Then but they're like, yeah, we can go there quickly because we don't have to hurry. As he's like, there's no way that these planets are not close enough for it, but they expand a new ship they built. Again, another opportunity to ask, like, oh yeah, Killer just finished testing the ship and it's perfectly well, so we can now go quickly. Like, again, like, just little drops and mentionings would work. And then we got to Valkyrie and Humora, who are back in that, what was it, Sakura Cosmos, I think they were. They state, I think it was stated that Humora comes from Sakura Cosmos, so one of those cosmos, on that, like, samurai, traditional Japanese planet, as they are telling them to, actually, no, I don't think, no. I think they are on the planet where Homora's mother is ruling. I guess that's where they live. It's just they have like a very Japanese aesthetic there, so I guess I just confused those two. But regardless, they are living there. As they're telling they should hold out the fort because now they're going to see their friends, baby and all that. So again, like, another opportunity, I feel like we just have Brigandine be in the background because they do have like a bunch of background characters appear there and commenting. So you kind of think that he would also be kind of there, like just standing guard, like again, like I'm not saying you have to do much, but like quick mentionings, like Sister saying that Clown is currently in charge of the medical work. Wizard and the fact that like Wizard is, I mean, we don't know where Witch is. Maybe something like, oh, and Wizard's helping him. Killer just finished testing out the new ship, so we know for certain that we can get there as quickly as we predicted we could. Brigandine is strong enough to hold anything off, so, like, mentioning them, like, no need to appear, just mentioning that they are there, because, again, I do not think they were destroyed. I think they were, like, their bodies, yes, but their cores, I don't think were. I think all of them had, like, some kind of reactions, like, Claw, I think, was just a torso and head at that point. Wizard was broken, but he was still like talking and commenting, be like, how could I have lost? Brigadine, I think, just had like one of those like being defeated at the same time as like Noel. But I don't think it's actually. I don't even think we've seen how the after effect. I mean, we just had the slice and then gone, cut, completely nothing else. Killer, I think, just like a dub face when he was defeated. So again, it's kind of unclear what happened to them, and they don't even reference them. So it's kind of hard to mention. But regardless, we have all of them coming there at the Greenville as well. We have the rest of Eden Zero. Like you have Jane Clean showing up, and Clean has a bit more of an old mature design, which finds out not the same level as she had like, previously when it was like they had the original time skip. Like no, like it does make kind of one. This is supposed to be a year or two from the end of this from the previous chapter because like characters badly look older while we've seen their older appearances beforehand. But regardless, we have them. Then we also have Laguna showing up. We have Melina and Couchpo showing up. I wait, was Moscow with Couchpo? I think it was like with him, but with her. But regardless, we have them showing up and going to see their to see the well see their friend's child as they are going there. As then we cut to where Pino's consciousness is as she's talking with Mother, who is in a kind of similar, seems to be like the after effect of a like it seems like some part of Mother still remain, even though she was turned back to Earth, she still somehow remained. I mean, I do think it does make sense. Like she and Zimmer are supposed to be greater beings. I'm not surprised that they managed to remain. They managed to keep some of their godlike powers still together. After all, like we thought, like Mother wasn't just a planet that was turned into a person. Mother was an extremely powerful in the being, like a legendary creature. So it's not surprised that she has some remaining power, and now with this remaining power, she talks with Pino. As she tells Pino, what do you about like? Thank you for thank you for turning me back to my original state and saving the planet. Finally, I could rest in peace. But before that, I would like to give you one reward. As she tells Pino that uh, that now Rebecca and Shiki, which is the reason why we are having this conversation at this point, are going to have a baby. And this baby, what Mother thinks Pino would want, will be her consciousness in it. So this would be the human body or the human wish that the desire to be human that Pino had. So now she's offering the reward, that the same reward Pino wanted Mother. And then we, from this conversation, as Mother mentions it, we cut away from it, as we cut to the characters, as we have the character, as we have the birth process being successful, as we have the character like, oh, it's a girl! And you think it's gonna be Pino, which I'm just gonna spoil it. Pino didn't take this deal. She just told her to bring her back to life in the way she was because Rebecca and Shiki's baby is their baby, so it should have its own life. It's not supposed to be Pino. So yeah, and I guess that even though Pino wasn't then there's not a reincarnation for Pino. It still seems to have been a girl because they should say, "Oh, it's a girl," which is kind of a weird thing because it was Void who was supposed to have been born, right? Like that was kind of plot twist with Void that he's the unborn child between Rebecca and Shiki, and that when Ziggy defeated Void, he said, "I guess this is the time I could like redo and I will do it like over again, so I could fix my mistakes, so I'll not end up making another Void." But this time they just don't even have Void; they have a completely new entity. I mean, granted, we kind of gloss over this baby because drumroll please, as we have Pino revealed that she's alive because Rebecca asks Shiki what would we name her, and Ziggy says, "Oh, let's name her Pino." But Pino shows up and reveals that she's alive, and she says, "Wait, I did not give you permission to name this child after me." To me, as she shows up, and Shiki is happy as he goes and hugs her. Completely, I guess I'm forgetting that he has a child now. because he's so happy as we cut to the end screen with the space and Eden Zero there as we have like Pino giving some monologue about how we're closest friends, or like how he explains that that their child should be their own person, it shouldn't be me. So we have this reveal and we end the story, and yeah, it's again, it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a bad ending per se. Like it's a logical conclusion. It's just it does feel like a lot of things are missing. Namely, the fact that we don't even fucking see the child. Like we have it mentioning it's a girl, but we don't see it ever. And this might be because of some editorial things or some release things. Because it's I think on Reddit found someone say that the final chapter should be 41 pages, but the page number, including the page spreads, is around 35. So there's a bit of a question about, like I said, there's a bit of an inaccuracy about the chapter pages, and yeah. Now there are also people said that the extra pages are gonna be some kind of question and answers, but it doesn't seem to be the case, or at the very least, that didn't seem to. I couldn't find anything on it. So is the reason why we don't have matching of the Dark Stars, or is there something else that's supposed to be happening there, that or some things that are missing? Like the reason why we don't see the baby because of a few pages missing. So does that mean we have to wait until the volume is released to get it? Like when these missing 6 pages or whatever the actual number of the chapter page is, and the ones that's supposed to be will be released later. So it's gonna be like 1 page to establish where the Dark Stars are, and then another stage to get to see the baby and all that, and maybe a few extras. Like again, I don't think you could just have everything be just one for everything. But it's kind of there's a lot of characters like we don't like when you actually think about it, we don't really have a lot of like after epilogue for a lot of the characters outside of the main cast and a few of their relative figures. Like we have nothing on Rebecca's parents, despite them being pretty, I want to say, in the story. We have nothing for the Interstellar Union. We have nothing for the Dark Stars. Void seems to have kind of been retcon of existence. Or no, not retcon out of existence, because that would imply that he was completely changed and taken away. Which just kind of, well, it just seemed to have no longer matter. I mean, to be fair, Rebecca, depending on how you view the chronophage, you could maybe say that Rebecca does have more children. It's just that, the first five is just gonna be one, but they're gonna but then maybe there's gonna be another kick, one of those plot things where characters somehow no one apparently realized there was gonna be 2 babies. Like similar to in Young Justice season 2 where it was Impulse, I believe, who showed up and said, "Hi, mom, hi, uncle, whatever," and they're like, "Wait, we have twins?" As they are, I'm not sure what did the mother, did the mother knew? Well, regardless, there was a bit of unknowledge. Actually, I think it was they were all shocked. I think she was even the one who was questioning, "Wait, I have twins?" So maybe it's gonna be like a thing where Void is gonna be born. It's just that he was, he was the second child. Like there was gonna be multiple because Chronophage, which was also Rebecca, had all those offspring. So God, there was Chronophage was more of a being of energy and ether. So it's easy to have multiple monsters or Chronophages. While in this one, it's just gonna be one. Maybe it's like that. Maybe that's gonna be a thing if there are if there are missing pages, but we don't know. But I haven't seen any. I haven't been scrolling down Eden Zero every day, up and down to see if there's any kind of statements, and I can't read Japanese. So if I go on Twitter or on any of Mashima's social medias, I will not be able to translate what he says. But regardless. Maybe there's gonna be something like that because the chapter does feel very unfinished, very alright. I cannot include everything, so I would just put the main character stuff and resolve that because, I usually feel like they do try to add as much, a bit more of a conclusion for all these things. It would be kind of like if One Piece just had the final battle where they established a new government, and then the final chapter, or the rest of the epilogue, was just where everyone in One Piece is, well, all the Straw Hats are, with no look at what the other major characters have been doing who survived the event. So it's kind of like here, where it's like, where are the other characters? But anyways, we'll find out that eventually. We'll find this out once the volume comes out, and I'm assuming there's gonna be an update on the social and the websites. But regardless, we'll see on that side. But anyways, now that we've done with Eden Zero, it's time for Mashima's other series, which is Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, chapter 162, which titled Reunion. Which, yeah, there is a reason why there's a questionability about the reunion, about which ones are reunited. Also, I think Fairy Tail 100 Squad is getting an episode next week, so I guess that's exciting. Although I think there has been some kind of scheduling issues, because I think some parts actually get some of these next week's series out this week. But regardless, we have that. But anyways, we start this chapter off with Ignia flexing a bit of his power against Natsu, as he's sending him back without even like properly like attacking him. As they're as Natsu's kind of like being a bit like, oh shit, this is a lot. Like, he's serious. Like this, like Igniel is gonna be a very serious to defeat. So yeah, we're a bit of a. He's a bit of a in a back foot. But anyways, since this is manga we're talking about, we actually don't go into like a proper fight yet. Because now we have a bit more of an explanation of what exactly Ignal wants, because he states that all the humans in Fire and Flame are prepared to go to the dragon, to the place where the dragons are, or the kingdom of dragons or something. He uses like that, as not like, wait, what? As he explains a bit more about the dragon ritual, about how like it's a gate and it's a gate and it brings gate that brings dragons out. It's actually meant to be like a place also to go there. So he and the other and the Fire and Flame guild members, his plans are all to go to this place. We don't know why exactly they want to go there, but they want to go there. And they said that everything that they need to achieve to get there is already there. I'm not entirely sure how this relates to the plan of burning everything to the ground, like the labyrinth that was supposed to be there. So maybe they just go there, just demonstrate their superiority to the dragons, and have them all coming out and then shooting fire into those labyrinths to burn everything down or something. Again, I'm not entirely certain what exactly is this plan and why exactly any of these guild members would want to go along with it. But regardless, they are planning on going to the Dragon World to I don't know, to remind every one of the dragons that Ignial is the leader here. So obey him. As then, while he talks about it, there is a mysterious light or mysterious darkness beam that is appearing from inside of Ignial's throne room, basically. As then we cut to the main cast, to the rest of the cast, who are meeting up with Azra. As Rat is looking there, is like, is the ritual starting? Wait, no, there's something else there. Something is not right there. As he's still looking at that, as then Happy shows up and he sees Misfortune, who the fire cat that we saw last chapter. As he's like, oh hi, he's like into her because he likes this fact that she's a fire cat. And kind of wants to start to flirt with her. They also have him make comment on the name things, like how her name is Misfortune, Happy's name is Happy. So yeah, and they're kind of like on good relations, like, oh no, and then Happy like makes, oh, maybe this is destiny that I met a fire cat whose name is Misfortune, because that's the opposite of my name, which is Happy. I don't know, Happy, if I would really be this as displeased with her because, misfortune could mean something else, and that could just be deception. I mean, we don't really know what the deal is with misfortune yet, but regardless, we have her being there. Also, many times this means that Fire and Flame might team up with them because, like, I mean, okay, we get introduced to a character that's a very peculiar one, but it's kind of a weird thing how we are sort of giving a more of a buddy-buddy relationship between Happy and Misfortune right now. But yeah, anyways, seeing that line, as I think he even mentioned that it's not the light from the ritual, realize, alright, it seems like I will not be able to finish my fight and get this over with. It's like who's the strongest swordsman between him or Azra. So he just like decide to leave now because I guess we're not getting the conclusion to the fight between him and Azra, which I'm not really again, like, Azra's like one of those weird characters when it comes to like proper fights, she will not lose. Like, regardless of how hurt she is, regardless of how overpowered the villain opponent is, she will always win. Like, even in fights where even Mashima admits, oh, I cannot legitimately right away she could win in any way that makes remotely sense, but I'll make some BS like relationship reason, like against Irene. There was no way for Asa to beat her, so she just had made a big feat of power, and that kind of won over Irene's heart, and that made Irene decide to commit suicide, and so Asa could win in some way. But regardless, we don't have a conclusion in this case because again, like we don't have because again it'll probably be a little bit too much of a same kind of BS as it was say against the Signario sisters because like remember Signario sisters completely overwhelming as at first with help of Gel and Minerva, but then she beat both of them back to back. So this probably is trying to some kind of way of not doing the same mistake here, especially if later Azra and is gonna beat him. I mean, again, it's unclear how this is gonna go, but it'd be kind of weird if she did, fight him. If she, lost to him there, and in a couple of hours, barely even fully recovering, she would go against him again and then beat him while he's in his fullest. As much as right now, I don't think he's really even been taking that much damage. But yeah. Anyways, then we cut back to the throne room as this person that caused this mysterious light starts talking, and she mentions, "Oh, your Majesty, or like Igneel, I agree. You've almost got everything you need for your Dragon King festival. It's just there's one piece that you kind of forgot that was present during the one a couple of years ago, the false one, I guess you call it, and this one's the true Dragon King festival. Because she mentions that Igneel did not that during that ritual there was a dark wizard, something that Igneel right now doesn't have. But luckily for him, Black Wizard Ferris is here to offer her assistance. Which, in case you forgot, Ferris is that character that was the one that's like how do I say this, like she's basically like the first main she's like kind of the real big villain in the before Alderaan was introduced in the 100 years quest, the little like no the girl that was like first deceiving everyone to take over Fairy Tail to destroy Alderaan and his orbs for Selene, and then to like save their people from Selene. But no, they're kind of, but no, but she was betrayed and used by Selene because as soon as the orbs were all destroyed, all of her power was gone. She realized that she was betrayed, and then they all kind of, and then she and uh, Toka, I believe, was the name of this Xyz, the one whose body she was controlling and using as her body for the time being. She after that was after that was done, like we kind of left her there on that island after it was free from Selene, and now it seems that I don't know. It's mentioned in this chapter that Ferris in her dark-skinned nun form right now smells like acnologia, kind of implying that she absorbed acnologia. But it's unclear because Ignea sniffs acnologia from her, or she has the scent of acnologia, and he's like a bit panicky. So it's like a confirmation about the power scale that someone like Igneel, who's a very cocky guy and who, you know, like okay, there was some. I think there was some deception or some trickery behind, or like Celine dropped her guard when she did that fatal blow on her, but in their fight. But regardless of how you wanna look at it, he did beat her. So you could probably say probably one on the strongest half of the Dragon Gods. But he's like sweating, even though she just has the scent of Acnologia, and Acnologia was defeated. So even he's a bit worried when he smells it, as Ferris is there appears in that form. So yeah, I'm not entirely certain what this is supposed to imply. Is it like imply that Ferris was a lot more evil than we were originally supposed to believe? Like she legitimately was a very evil individual, or she was just like she calculated her options and playing up the victim, or just a person doing what is being more willing to do evil stuff for their people or something like that, or if this is supposed to imply that she got possessed by the remains of Alknologia or whatever. Like again, it's kind of a weird thing to drop right now. I kind of want to say that Mashima does have a plan, but I'm not entirely certain what this plan would be. But regardless, Black Wizard Ferris is here, and who knows how things are gonna go now. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see until the next chapter to find out what exactly is going on here. Especially since I don't really get. I don't really understand. Like this, is this like one of those things where we just needed a Black Wizard in there for the plot contrivance or reasons, or for the plot to move forward? I don't know, but regardless, Ferris is here and she's willing to offer her power to help Ignial come open the gate. Maybe that Aknologia Buffer now desires to eat the dragons in that world, and now she's just trying to like play her cards right with Ignial or something. I don't really know exactly. It's kept relatively vague in this chapter about exactly how things are going. But yeah, anyway, that's the end for Fairy Tail. Now we cut to One Piece chapter 100, well, 1117, titled A, which at this point you probably all have kind of guessed what this is referring to, about the final words that Vegapunk said before the broadcast is cut off. So yeah, we started this chapter off with the pirates being in a bit of a crisis. He's like, what can they do? Because if all the gold and all the treasures on the ground, they can't really plunder it the normal way. And if they try to steal it, they want to plunder and this treasure, but they can't go underwater, especially as deep as that city is, according to Vegapunk. So now they're like, what can they do? What about submarines? They should be able to get that deep. Wait, no, we can, because they're too expensive. What about mermaids? Would they also be useful? And other things would be great about them as well. Yeah, that would be great. And yeah, the pirates are in a crisis right now. They have lost a very important thing. They can't plunder the treasure. Which is ironic, it's something that we don't really see them do that many times, but regardless. Anyways, then we cut from the pirates to the sword's reaction, and the sword right now is kind of like, look, we just came here and are just recovering. We can't really do anymore. Right now, just write down all the important information, and we'll process it later. As they also mentioned that the captain doesn't wish to be disturbed, which is referring to Drake, because now they are finally in contact with Drake again. Not entirely certain what was the point of having him be going AWOL if he's just gonna come back normally. Maybe Drake had a hard time, like, I mean, considering the fact he's still apparently recovering after the events of Wano, I'm kind of going to have to assume that he didn't get any treatment in Wano. maybe I'm just to the like. I mean, it's unclear if Basil is there or not, but like maybe he just kind of grabbed Hawkins and left immediately. So it was like Hawkins were traveling on a small rowboat until they got to the location or something. But regardless, or maybe he just did that himself. I'm going to have to assume that he left immediately after the battle without having any of his wounds being looked at and treated, so he just left. But anyways, he's hearing that information. He's like he doesn't comment about it, but he has the information. But yeah, anyways, then we have uh, then we have guards on the ship being ready to leave as they're about to go, but then Venus Joe shows up because, alright, I just took care of some of that because Venus, that's all Venus Joe does, honestly. He just goes against the weaker parts of the crews for the most parts. To like look like he's more competent than the rest because like again he has the easy jobs mostly. But unfortunately for him, some actually worth something characters show up in combat, being Zoro and Jinbe, because and Jinbe throws Zoro at Venus Joe, and they block with one eye, have their clash, which is just another clash between swordsmen, something even crazy or anything. Regardless, they clash with one another. As Zoro tells them for the shards on the frozen side to leave, to go away, because he and Jimmy will follow up soon. Probably because neither of the two have to worry about the Darfurt weaknesses. So all they have to kind of do after the strides leave is just have Zoro holding have Zoro hold his breath, then being grabbed, and then jumping down, and then swimming all the way to the sunny or something like that. Because again, like there's no real like water issue from the on the stride side that they will not be able to handle. But regardless, it's time to leave as Zoro and Venus Joe are now going to have a bit of a clash with Jinbei giving Zoro a bit of a cover. But I like to try to keep it a bit vague on how powerful the characters are a bit. But regardless, after that, we then have the Marines giving kind of a counterattack as Bluegrass and they'll like give sort of an inspiring speech, being like, "What are those justice codes good for you? You just cower from by these giants. Go attack them full force and show them your might." As Bluegrass takes control of one of the giraffe uh, animal or seeking mechanized evolved thing as Golden goes and like fish punches Kashi a bit as she like does like a punk rumble or something as she punches him multiple times repeatedly. To get like a bit of a counter attack by the Marines, so they're at least doing some of their job. But yeah. Anyways, then we have Luffy and Dorian and Boggy leaving to go towards the ship because all the ghosts that they were currently dealing with left, or at the very least went towards the Iron Giant because that's what York told them. That's where the transponder snail is. So they're like taking advantage of it because they don't know where the boy, the one that I guess they fought Topman the mostly was away, so they're not sure where he is, but regardless, they go towards the ship because there's like no reason they would be hunting him down right now, especially since they know how hard it is for them to fight him. But regardless, they are going there, as then we cut to Vegapunk's message, which he now tells that this next, what he think he's gonna say is meant to be only for the D's, aka, we had like a panel of every major D that's being referenced except for Soul. Like we have Luffy, I think, appearing when he mentions that. Then we have Cole be name dropping everyone he knows that's the D. We have Beppo appearing, so I guess we know that now he and Law fine. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm not really surprised. I'm kind of surprised that we already cut to where we all kind of have like a reference on where Beppo and Law's situation is right now because I kind of find we're gonna have this be like one of those things where after everything's over, we have like the final chapter where all the captains that we've been focusing on, like the next generation captains, kind of coming back on their feet to go moving forward, like Kobe, Sabo, Law, Kid, and Luffy kind of thing. But it seems like we are, getting him being referenced here. I guess it's might, we might get a reference to Kid soon, or at least find out what happened to him, but I don't know. We have to wait and see on that side. But regardless, and we also see Mash teach there as well. But yeah, like he's already like being like as Vegapunk wants to tell something towards them. It's like amongst you there as in he gets cut off because I think Top Man sends like an attack towards the Iron Giant to stop it, as then like sends the giant into the air, and then the giant falls into the ocean, and that's kind of starting to interfere with the transponder sale. And now all he says is like one word of what he was going to say, and that's like one of those things where no one except Japanese watch readers themselves know. And yeah, we're currently now stuck this big question on what exactly did Vegapunk say, what the thing he was referring to. I heard apparently the word that he was referring to is like one of those things where it's not exactly anything specific. It's like just a general information, like I said, amongst you. But that's it for it for the matches right now. But luckily for those of who read the spoilers, there is gonna be a few more details revealed later. But regardless, that's kind of the end of the chapter with with the ghost interfering with the giant robot and stopping the message as York is like chilling a bit, like, oh thank God, it's finally over. It's not, unfortunately, but at least York was correct. Like they can't blame her not for not being able to predict it. Like it was just that the Iron Giant is still doing stuff. But regardless, that's the end of this chapter, and now on to the next chapter. Now on to chapter 1118, the most free, which is a really controversial chapter for all things considered. Well, namely, it's one of like those chapters where it has a very controversial moment at the ending, and it's gonna be like a very annoying chapter to wait until next week because there's gonna be a lot of like hatred and debate and blah 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 blah, all that type of stuff. Like I'm certain that once this chapter, like the leaks came out, there was already a clusterfuck of controversy. So it's really nothing new. Honestly, I'm probably just blowing over the whole controversial bit right now since the Ross for the next chapter have already come out. But regardless, let's get into the chapter. We start this chapter off with the Iron Giants crashing down into the ocean and just wondering where is Joy Boy because he was certain that he saw him. Well, he heard him, so where is he? Because Luffy activated him, but then he went off his transformation, so he didn't see or hear anything about Joy Boy yet. So yeah, he is kind of going down and deep, 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 deep into the sea right now. Maybe you meet Ariel down there, which kind of funny how there isn't an Ariel-like character in it because of how famous that she is amongst mermaids. But regardless, anyways, then we get some people now because York was actually correct on the where the snail is. We have the message unfortunately starting to stop, like we had last chapter, and there's some people who are kind of reacting to the message, like what happens and interference, like what is going on. So yeah, things are not going well for the whole, the information and all that stuff for the people. But again, it's not like many people can really do much about it. Like they like maybe this guy like start a bit of a speculation that perhaps was the world government because who else would really be able to find a way to stop the transmission this quickly and all that stuff. But regardless, the message is stopping as we then cut to the Gorosei talking with York, and they are kind of asking her where the remaining satellites because they kind of want to get rid of everyone that could somewhat leak their information again. Which, to be fair, it doesn't seem like they are planning on destroying York, even though they easily could have, because she can help with the Mother Flame and all that. At least I think so, because I think Sao is amongst the ghosts who is talking about like wiping out the rest of the Vegapunks except for Lilith, because again, the Mother Flame. But regardless, York says right now the only Vegapunks are left besides her are Lilith and Atlas, which I guess confirms that Addison died. It was kind of debatable what happened to Addison because he was like laying cracked and all last chapter when he was talking to, well, the last couple of chapters when he was talking to Stussy. But it's like one of those things. Is he actually gonna submit to his wounds, or is it just gonna be like one of those? He's going to be repaired, and it seems like at the very least, according to York, Addison did die. I guess after his talk with Stussy, it was like, I mean, I'm sure the anime would expand on this, and maybe there's gonna be even a bigger thing in the later on, like maybe the final moments of Addison, because again, like the last moments were him just talking. Oh, I guess it's over. Goodbye, Stussy. But regardless, and he don't have that kind of moment. But I'm guessing this is what's happened with Alice. What's going to be revealed that happened with Allison? He shut down, which isn't really a big of a surprise because again, like he was already damaged, and now he ran through the barriers, and there was a design to protect them from physically a lot stronger individuals than him. So him barely surviving and shutting down does make logical sense. So he's kind of out. So I'm assuming he's out. Either that, or maybe it's gonna be revealed that when he went through it, and maybe all the damage that he took made it so that it completely disconnected Ellison from the entire thing, or maybe he did something to make sure that to hide more in the blink to do one final thing before he died or something. I don't know, we'll see. But I think Aston is dead. Like, I could also see some SPS questions about it later and Oda explains to us in detail. But we'll have to wait and see on that side. So, yeah. Anyways, then we have Luffy and Oren Broggy coming to the Elbaf ship as they're all reunited and be like, yay, great job, everyone, we're happily together. And in case you're wondering where Dole and Bluegrass were, because those two will attack in the last chapter, the Giants the Giants. Well, we find out that kind of the obvious happened when you really think about it, and that is that Bonnie used to age fruit on them as well as the sea beast, as they are now children, little kids, and they're like kind of reading from the ability. Which, I'll be honest, I'm kind of curious on how the events exactly went through with this, because, like, alright, Bluegrass and Dole were not together. Bluegrass was on the sea on the, I think, Giraffe Sea Beast, while Dole was on the ship beating the crap out of Hachi, I believe, which they even do reference the fact that she was beating the shit out of him the last chapter, because I think Oimor was like, wow, she really had a number on you. So, but here we have them both on the. I'm going to assume is the shore or the pier or somewhere as children. Like, did Bonnie use her ability on both of them? And I think it is revealed that Bonnie does need to use her ability in a touch prospect. Like, it was kind of vague in Sabaori, but I think between the movie was it Strong World or Z? No, I don't. I think it was before. Stampede. Like, I think in the Stampede it was revealed that she has to touch, and then I think and that's how it was working in throughout the Arcade Island, that she has to touch people, because I think she touched Vegapunk and he de-aged, or at least hit him with some kind of equipment. So it's kind of, in a sense, like, did she touch these two, or did she like point them with a stick or something? Because, like, again, like, why are they both on the shore? Like, did Bonnie like de-age them, and the Giants grabbed Dole and that Bluegrass, and then put them on the shore or something? I don't really know. It's a minor thing, but it's kind of like one of those things where it makes me wonder how the heck did things go. They progress to a point they both end up on the shore as children, when they logically shouldn't be anywhere in that, where they logically, I mean, being children is fine, but it's like, how did the events go exactly? But regardless, those two are out, and I'm going to assume that the Marines are now just going to take a more passing role, because like Kizo no longer wants to continue to fight to do anything. I think half of the Vice Admirals are defeated, with Dole and Bluegrass, two who have been doing the most, let's be honest to ourselves, now being rendered helpless because they're children, which means now they're going to have to protect Dolegrass Dole and Bluegrass. I mean, which I think only leaves like 2 or maybe 3 of the Vice Admirals remaining, but again, it's Vice Admirals, they don't do shit. So yeah, I guess now Marines are just gonna be passive absorbers mostly. But yeah, anyways, after them we then have Nami's group officially like leaving the island as they are leaving Zoro and Sun and Jimmy behind to deal with Venus Jijoro. As then we have Mars attacking, because attacking the ship because they goes to think the giant is that been dealt with, as he's going to strike at them, but and do because there's like no reason for them not to do anything, and then we have Luffy going Nika. After he filled his stomach with the giant food that I think, like the one that he used previously, so he could go against him. But then he also kind of encourages Bonnie to go into Nika form because like her power clear. I mean, Luffy probably doesn't understand what how Bonnie's food works. I mean, how he doesn't even fucking know what a Nika is right now. So, and even if you sit him down and told him, I don't think Luffy would really give a shit. Like, when Luffy's understand of Nika would probably be, oh, so Nika is some god you people worship. Alright. Like, so he probably doesn't. So he doesn't have a good understanding, but he can probably get at least get the gist that like Bonnie should be able to get Nika as Luffy encourages her. As then we have the controversial moment because Bonnie get from the encouragement does go into a Nika transformation as she goes to help Luffy deal with Mars, which is dealt with next chapter. And yeah, there's a bit of a debate about this. Like, this kind of makes Luffy less special. It takes away the power scalers for being power scalers, let's be honest with ourselves. And in general, there's a lot of talk about doesn't make sense and blah, blah, blah. No, for me personally, I don't think there's a much of a problem with this in concept. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Bonnie becoming Nika. After all, there's a lot of Dara fruits who kind of feel like, there are fruits that feel like they could do what other fruits can do, and generally there's no real surprise there. My issue is that it kind of feels a little quick for Bonnie to get this Nika transformation. Like, I would get it if it was like after Albath. Like, she goes to Albath and she learns what Nika is from the giant's point of view, and then she gets this Nika transformation. But here it's like, okay, we just learned how her Devil Fruit somewhat operates this arc, and she already get like a big danger from the giants, well, from the pacifistas that she can control, and yet now she has also the Nika transformation on top of that she got. Like, it's one of those things where it's too much too quickly, so I feel like, again, I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it in concept, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be parts where she will not be things that she will not be able to do in the story. Like, I don't think she's gonna be able to do the same feats that Luffy does. It's just kind of a thing where it's like, I feel like there should have been a bit more of a space between this. Like, I'm just saying, like, did she really just need to see Luffy in this let's call it in the Nico transformation to get that gist? Like, I mean, I can understand her, like, that a weird future where she, I think, is supposed to be a buccaneer. I can get her knowing that. I can get her older form because it's based off of an older person that was taking care of her. I could get her. I can even get the giants. I'm pretty sure she probably encountered and fought some of them beforehand, so I can get them. But when it comes to like some of these others, I'm kind of questioning, like, what if like, does this mean that she can get like Kaido's sort of DNA if she like talked to him once or saw him once? Like, what exactly is the what exactly, like, it seems like way too easy for someone to get like different futures for yourselves kind of ability. So again, it's like one of those, like, I get the idea, but I think it's just too quickly. But anyways, we then also the final page is a double page spread with showing Nika's Ilka form of Bonnie, and we and ended also out. But what the actual ending is would be the Iron Giant sensing both Luffy and Bonnie's Nika transformations and him reacting to it. So yeah, the giant is going to play a role. I know a lot of people were kind of sad that the fact that it kind of looked like the Iron Giant was kind of being dealt with quickly, but no, the Iron Giant is still playing a role in the arc, and he's probably gonna be the one to use to get the characters uh, away from the ship and allowing sharks and giants to escape. And yeah, I mean we again, like I'm not entirely sure how much it's going to be revealed this arc or how much of a role the Iron Giant is going to play, but I'm in the future. But it was very clear that he was going to do something more in the story. But right now, it's just like it's one of those things where it's kind of like this is more the final notes before the ending. There'll be a moment where it looks like the heroes are gonna lose or things are not going to go the right way, and then there's gonna have to be something to show up and save the day. And I think this is the reason why Iron Giant is here. But anyways, after One Piece, we have Versus Chapter 17, Birds of Different Feathers, referring to two different things. So a bit more in the actual involved with the chapter itself than most chapter titles ever. So yeah. Anyways, so we start this chapter off almost immediately as we ended the last chapter off with the Lawless saving Zybe and deciding to take him prisoner because they noticed that he has the same staff, the staff that he's clinging on to for his dear life, that some of the people they encountered previously had. This will come back into play later. As they know the Lawless want to take him in for questioning. As they leave, as the rest of humanity, who I guess were not spotted by the Lawless, are now questioning what they should do. They want to go save Zybe because from what they can tell, Zybe is going to be tortured and enslaved and all that. But they can't really. But the issue is that the Zybe has the parasites in him. So if he gets, since he's effective, the rest of them can get infected as well, and yeah, things are not going to end up well for them. And then there's also like the question: how do they deal with the lawless because they are humans? So they shouldn't hurt other humans because they are morals and stuff. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest amongst the amongst humanity. While we also learn from the lawless human, well, it's kind of contrived to call that. Okay, we have learned from the humans that are from the good lawless or the civilian lawless, let's call them, because it feels like the difference between the lawless humans is that the ones who are good just seem to be like civilians, while the lawless that are the attackers are like more obvious, like more biker gang inspired. That is, the leader of this group is called Gord, and he's apparently like one of their hunting party members, not the leader of the whole. Alright, so the way they explain it's like there are multiple like factions of the lawless, and Go is one of the hunting parties of one group, but he's not the leader of this group. So there is someone above him. So it's kind of like a similar thing. Not entirely certain if all of the lawless are under some, similar way how the demons are like. There's a great demon king, but then there's like the 46 demon kings, and then there's the lieutenants. It seems to be kind of like a similar structure to that, but it's not clear if the different lawless groups are all working separately or working together. I'm kind of more on the line of them working separately, so it's not. There's no great demon king here. So yeah. Anyways, now they kind of, I know the captains are kind of discussing what they should really do with Zybe, as they should save him, but the different moralities and different priorities are not really helping. Like the commander from the machine world wants to save him because Zybe has been kind of like his right hand man in all of these operations, and they already are very low on manpower, so they really shouldn't be using one of them, especially someone who's I would say Zybe is probably the strongest person they have right now, since Baka and Hollow are gone, or not with them right now. But they're kind of in trouble now. But again, the parasites. But fortunately, the guys from the Nero Tower world say, we'll go. As I said, we're pretty much useless, so we wouldn't mind going there. So if we get infected by the parasite, it's not like it's going to matter. In fact, we have not. Honestly, we've been kind of tortured to a point that we don't even care. That to a point that a couple of parasites aren't really going to do much to us. Which is something that the commander is a bit surprised by, the fact that the guys from the Neo Tower world are so admitting how useless they are. Which I don't want to say that the guys from the Neo Tower are useless, especially what we've seen them do in this chapter. But it is kind of true. Like, other worlds seem to be at least somewhat, put together. Like, they seem like they had their societies, even if they constantly had to live in fear and run away from the natural enemies, while the guys from the Neo Tower, they are in rags. They are completely bandaged up. They're, I'm guessing, the main one from the Neo Tower, the lady that the suspicious lady as all hell, has a broken arm. Like, they are very clearly not. They are very clearly not up. On an appearance basis, they are clearly the most useless looking. And also, while we're on the subject of the new tower, that lady is really suspicious as all hell. Like, in this chapter, there's all debate about if they can reason with the lawless because they're all humans. But she's like a bit like, let's reason with the lawless. They are humans after all. We should all be able to find common ground, at least more than the rest of our natural enemies. Which is kind of weird because, I mean, their natural enemies are new humanity, which is supposed to be like the better versions of humanity. So why would she have like such a let's unite with the lawless? It's kind of a weird thing, but regardless, they do plan. They do come up with a plan to save Zybe from this discussion. So the plan is basically have the two guys from the Neo Tower world go save Zybe while the rest of the humans, while the rest of the, I want to say the military humans, honestly, just go provide cover fire while the civilians run away, and Zybe's group now goes to heal him. So we have them showing up and going and saving Zybe. We have Gore, I think, hearing the guys coming towards them or sensing or something. Like, we'll get to Gore later. But regardless, sensing something, and then he vanishes or teleports away. It's unclear again what he does. As the other humans start attacking the lawless, as the two guys, one grabs Zybe and they kind of push the guy who's holding Zybe away as until he gets blasted by the one of the humanity's lasers or something. As then the two Towers, Nero Tower humans run away with Zybe, but then they spot two bikes that that the lawless are using that look similar to the bikes in New Tower but less advanced, which one of them is able to use, or both of them are able to use them, but they basically say that the reason why they're able to use them is because, like, one of them was actively working as a mechanic for the Neo Tower when he was enslaved by them, so they have some practical skills, at least I guess. So we have those three leaving now. Uh, as we have those three leaving now to go. I'm guessing those three are gonna be like near everyone, but not like close enough to be concerned about the parasite. Because one thing they do mention is like maybe the armors from the machine world would be able to, they would maybe be able to do like a makeshift sort of quarantine area for those three. Especially since I feel like they'll probably have to put the medical individuals away, put separate as well. But regardless, we'll have to deal with the parasite later. or at least assuming that it is a parasite, not something from the land of the curses. Because again, like it's again kind of weird where everyone is right now. So, anyways, as they are starting their fights with the military and the lawless, we have the civilians going around a bit as we have them trying to go into one of the buildings, but the guys from the lawless region tell them that no, because of the war they had, which is probably the reason why the war in there became lawless, it has left all the buildings basically just being ruins to the point they'll crumble very quickly and get destroyed. As we then have of them some saying, okay, then let's go to the forest because there is the forest, but then guys from the I'm oh, there are like two forest type of villain, forest type of worlds. One is like an Yggdrasil tree where it takes the life out of you, while the other one is like just everything is overgrown and over attacking, like just plant life and the animals inside are just extremely giant and ferocious. So one of those guys like, wait, no, that's the Crimson Forest, which is a very dangerous forest in their world, so they shouldn't be going there because the things inside are just too monstrous and dangerous. So I guess we can expect there being a bunch of fairies if the lawless, if this is gonna be the Crimson Overgrown Wildlife versus the lawless, which kind of makes sense, but we have to wait and see on that side. So the guys from the Yggdrasil tree decide to reveal another thing they have with them, which is that they have like roots of the, I'm guessing, the great tree, and they are planting it in those ruins, and then they pour some water into it, as then the tree, the roots then like spur around the building as it kind of makes it more a more sound structure, so they're able to use it like they should be, so they'll be able to use it like a normal building. So yeah, we gotta get a bit of an explanation on exactly how the worlds of these, a bit more about the rest of the worlds that we've sort of they've been there, but kind of more in the background kind of situation. So we have them doing stuff. But yeah, anyways, then we get like a bit of we cut back to the militaries and they're kind of going through the options because as you might imagine, after going with this blasting attacking the demons in the previous fight and all going here, they are in a situation where they're a bit of a weaponry crisis. Because like one, they left a bunch of their weapon and all that type of equipment at that base, so they don't so they are very limited on the amount of arsenal they have with them. And second is the fact they don't really want to use any of their deadly things because they are humans, they have morals. A lot of these people come from a world where essentially humanity had to band together to survive. It's not like the parasite world where humanity had, issues and with trust and that type of stuff. To a point they kind of already expect something that could cause an chaos later on, and the fact that and all lawless who are so used to them, know how dangerous they are that they find the idea laughable. Like they come to the main the military guy comes to the conclusion of going with negotiations, but the girl that's in the lawless, who might be the face of the lawless world for the humanity side, pretty much laughs at that idea. Like she said, "Oh, we are so that negotiating with the lawless." So the general guy is like already, well, that's a bad sign. Like you can tell that like the fact that she's laughing at the idea of them negotiating tells you everything you kind of need to know already. It's already saying, yeah, our hopes got to zero. But regardless, he still has to go with that route because the lawless now attacking with their actual vehicles. Previously, they were just kind of like standing there thing and walking with their bikes, but now they have like all their trucks and all those giant fucking, all their Mad Max type of vehicles. As then we have, as we then have them going on some of their buildings, I guess that they rooted with those Yggdrasil trees, and then to like hold their weapons down and try to like intimidate negotiation, the commander decides basically. He states that, "Oh, I'll go with the negotiation strategy because all of us seem to be agreeing that they would rather negotiate with the laws and anything else. So you go with that strategy, but because of what the rest of the laws as humans say, it's very clear the negotiations are on a very, 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 very minimal chance of success. So it's more of an intimidation strategy. Is more what they're doing right now, with the general taking charge and talking like the commander that he is, while he has the rest of the military is like pointing guns from the high up. They have the high ground basically to the lawless and want to kind of scare them off. As then we have Gore, basically I think revealing to us what the true danger of the lawless is going to be, which is the fact they seem to be the most aware of the fact there are other worlds, because Gore thinks about what they're saying and he calls out their bluff. Like, he figures stuff out, like, those weapons, huh? If my memory serves, when they blink red, referring to the machine world, that means their power is low. And despite you guys having spellcasters and all that, none of them are using anything unique, any giant fireballs, any lightning strikes, nothing, just basic energy attacks or spell attacks. Are you guys also perhaps using some of those plans that I've seen? Basically, uh, he goes through everything. Every information that these characters learned, Gore already knows about. As he did, because he also mentions like, did you guys come out of the Crimson Forest? Perhaps because like, where did they show up? Because there's a very big group, and the only option would really be to a point that would be a surprise is the Crimson Forest. And he also calls out their blood about them attacking to kill, because he realizes you guys are not you guys are not actually willing to kill us. You guys have only used paralyzing bullets and all that type of stuff. You guys are just bluffing here. So yeah, Gore, I think that's I think gonna be the danger, because one of the lawless are dumb. Like, we have one of the lawless revealing that he can't even count. Well, he doesn't even know if 300 is more. Well, if 3,000 is more than 1,000, for crying out loud. But it does seem like Gore, one of the leaders, does seem to have a lot of like knowledge on stuff, and like, he can pretty much get the general gist of everything, which I think is more of a danger, which I think is gonna be the main threat of the lawless, because most unnatural enemies, while they may be gathering information, maybe are adapting scenarios or general stuff, they don't really seem to be that. They don't seem to be that using that very much in a big way. Like aliens, like the aliens, while they wanted to gather information and stuff, they didn't really seem to be, or that seemed to be troubling with like things that they couldn't really do anything against. Like, when the giant kaiju showed up and destroyed their ship, they were first in denial. They thought there was something wrong with their sensory parts, to a point that one went there to try to prove this is just some mistake that they had, only for them to drop down with them being dumbfounded by that. The robots, while they did manage to adapt to magic, they again didn't really get this difference there. They didn't really realize there's a demon attacking other humans, so they just attacked the demon because the demon was flashy and living. So yeah, and same goes for like neo humans. They may have been like a bit taken, like they were surprised by Alio's magic sword technique, but they didn't really seem to care about it much. They were like, "Oh, this is a bit more than I would have expected from the humans, especially the ones that we have. I guess you must be from a different world." But it doesn't matter. You have the same flaws as they use the children, as the children of the neo-humans attack Alio, because they know he wouldn't be, because they know he would hesitate in that moment and leave an opening. So it's kind of a thing where it seems like So the lawless might be the most. Alright, we are in a world. We are now combined with the rest of the world. So let's gather information and deal with everything the best way possible. So that might be the danger from the lawless. Right, I'm just speculating there because there is still a bit of ambiguity, some vaguity about like what exactly is up with Gore, because when he thinks, it's very clear that he's thinking like he's like gonna make like like a face like let's see this, and then they're like members of the laws are like shut up, Gore is thinking, or like he seems to kind of be able to teleport. Like Gore doesn't really fight in this chapter. He just sort of shows his intellect as well as like some speed feat, I guess. But anyways, with Gore calling out the threat, you won't know how they're gonna escape. But luckily for them, Miyoshi, or the guy from the giant world, the guy who's like, I guess the face of that world, came up with a plan. He was previously with the military guys because it was the safest to be around them, because they can actually fight back while the rest of the humans couldn't really fight back. But then he saw one of the one of the sorcerers, one of the mages who was like very skilled, like like that who honestly has like a very generic nerdy design type of spell. Cause like, he goes to him, he took him to go somewhere else, which some people thought that he was being a coward, but it turns out that he actually got a strategy. He wanted to know exactly like if this guy can have like use his illusions and all that, which he said that he could. So I guess he and that mage doubled back to the civilians to put illusion magic on him and the rest of the humans who were there to make them appear like some kind of star-themed military group situation as they show up and they proclaim, "Oh, Commander," whatever his name was, Imas, "we of the Star Division's 40,000 are here. Soon the rest are gonna be here as well. And all of the commanders, the Captain Bloody Massacre, the Captain Psychotic Berserker. Oh, this is the group that we have to deal with. Oh, this is gonna be easy. We've just came from a fucking slaughterfest. This small number of plebs is gonna be easy for us to kill immediately." Trying to fake them out. They're trying to, scare them away because, like, when you have like a army is showing up out nowhere in there, I mean, even show up in the behind. I always say behind that, but in their blind spot for the lawless, it's kind of like one of those things where you kind of want to hesitate, kind of go away from, even if you're not entirely certain. Which it Go very much isn't certain, because Ghost wonders, like, his first thought when he sees his army is like, so is this like an illusion? Or are you real? Like, I will let you go if you tell me. But Miyashi knows that this is not gonna work. He just keeps pretending to go that there has this 3,000 large men star giant army. And Gore, I mean, there's a bit of ambiguity if Gore was looking at something else or if he's uh, actually believing them, but which I don't think he's believing them. I think it's like the way Gore says, it's like, it seems there's a lot of things I still don't know, so it's best to retreat. Basically, like, he's not certain how much of this is true or not. Like, he thinks that it's possible to just be BS, but he can't confirm right now. So it's like one of those things where it's like, it's better to come back with a larger force to attack and then just wipe out faster if they're bullshitting than to risk them actually being telling the truth. Which is something they do manage. Like, the guys from the Lawless say that, oh yeah, they will come back. I mean, we were the first to strike, so they're definitely gonna be coming after us now. It was like attacking a beehive now. Now the rest of the Lawless are gonna show up. So, yeah, things are not looking good. They managed to, like, sort of just send them away. Which, again, is, I think, what's going to be a real good design factor, because a lot of all-natural enemies don't really seem to have much of a concern when it comes to what they could be facing. Like, the giants don't really care if they could be facing something that could destroy them. The Nero Tower world don't really seem to care about it at all. Like, they'll probably just be sending the entire city populations against the enemy or whatever. Not even considering that it could be something they couldn't possibly defeat with physical strength, like, let's say, the Land of Lawless or maybe God or something like that. But yeah, anyways, they're able to repel them for now, but they will be back. As then we cut back to, well, we cut to Zybe's group, who is being treated by the two Neo from the Neo Tower, as he's like apologizes about the parasites, but those two are like, fine, you did what you're after. We should at least not, you at least shouldn't, die being tortured and turned into a parasite. So he is, so they're fine with him. It's just like it's like one of those moments, Zybe, to be like, oh shit! Everywhere we go, everything we do, it's still bleak. We can barely do anything against them, which is again supposed to like show we were like how in the trouble they are when it comes to like anything against the natural enemies, regardless of what it is. It doesn't even have to be a direct conflict with a natural enemy. Just the presence of the natural enemies are gonna be an issue, and how they're like basically surrounded by enemies. So yeah. And well, after this like despair moment from the Zybe a bit, we cut to Hollow's group, and they're doing pretty relatively fine, honestly. They seem to they got away from the giant kaiju. They are hiding under a tree, or in a tree. They are just sort of they are eating some bugs there, which I'm surprised they're risking at this point. Although to be fair, I guess they can't really do much. Maybe Blast has some kind of sensing ability that allows them to know if everything's fine, or if the food is fine or not. But regardless, they're kind of just eating and then talking what they should do next, like reuniting with the rest of the humanity, of course. But then also like wondering if they should maybe be out there looking for other heroes to bring them in, because not all of them are dead. It's like one of those things where when you think about it, it's never stated that Hollow and Alio are the last heroes around. It's just like there were multiple news about them about the heroes being killed or enslaved or something else. But we never bought there's 46 of them. Like, I think that when we got the chapter itself, it was like 8 of them or something was mentioned, but it could be like, there was still a few of them remaining, or like something else. So in this instance, I could see a similar thing here, where Hollow is like looking at it as they're not planning on looking for them. But another thing that Parker mentions is that they should probably also go look. That they should also go look for a character from his world named Gigatile, who's like the strongest guy in their world. Who's like their strongest, and Parker even says that he is very likely to be stronger than Hollow. So it makes sense they will go after him. And I'm guessing the reason why his name is Gigatile is because this character is probably like maybe he like I don't know if I like. Alright, if this guy is equal to your average giant would. Nah, I feel like if he's just an equal in his base form against an average giant, I would still not change this tide much, especially if he's the only one, while giants seem to be in packs. But regardless, they mentioned this Giga Tile guy, and then by looks of things, it looks like and Buck announced that while the world has changed, he from his memory he can sort of get the general direction where they need to go to find him in the village that Buck was coming from. Which is there's like a little joke about Blatt saying, "What your the direction? What you leading the party like group? I kind of doubt it." Because like they found in this chapter that the guys from the time come think that the world is flat, because that's their level of intellect in the world. That they have no reason to think it's round. So there's a little joke about that. But regardless, Hall of thinks it would be best if they go get them. Like again, their main plan to deal with the enemy seems to be like sending them off after one another, but they do need strong combatants, so they'll be able to easily to have a higher chance of surviving. Because again, like they are losing a lot of people and a lot of combatants. Like I'm pretty sure that they've lost almost as many people at this point as the entire as most series lose people in their entire sagas. Like first couple of chapters, and it's already comparable. So yeah, I'm not. So yeah, they need more people, which I feel like they might get at this point, because again, like you don't want too much despair, too much misery, because at this point it's like, how are they even surviving? Especially if they keep the whole thing, like they barely escape, like there has to be some kind of not progress in winning sense, but like progress in survivability sense. But yeah, anyways, then after verses, we have Chainsaw Man chapter 169, titled Hands and Adaptation. Luckily enough, they are in a sushi restaurant and not in a nightclub, so they should be fine. So, anyways, we have them group arriving in the sushi place as Danji is kind of like just there. He's not eating yet. He's just kind of like looking around him. He's still kind of processing everything as he sees like a lot of people are very happy and very you think nothing is wrong. You would think that that body being found isn't the norm in this world because that's how people are happy in this restaurant. And Danji, being Danji, thinks to himself, did they also had this someone else get their load off? Referring to what Asa did to him last in the you did to him in the previous two chapters. So Danji thinks that that's what they are all doing, and that's the reason why they're also happy because like he doesn't get that they are happy because they're happy with their family and everyone. But regardless, we didn't have that Angie in his mind, of course, talking to Puchita like, question him: is this the reason why they're happy? Is this the life? Is what happens? Like he's generally just like processing everything. And kind of wanting to talk with Puchita, even though I don't think Puchita is ever able to like answer him or rarely is able to answer him. But regardless, this is like a nice little moment with Denji kind of coming back to his senses. We're talking about Puchita, how he feels about the situation. As then we have after that we kind of have the extra stalking, the president guy and Kubani's brother, which surprisingly no one's able to recognize these guys, even though they were public figures. I guess it's like one of those. I mean, maybe they do recognize. They're just pretending like they don't recognize them, or maybe no one really cares anymore. I mean, it's kind of supposed to be a joke about like, after they escaped the chapter when Janji woke up, the guy was kind of laughing at it. Yeah, four child terrorists escaped, and yet no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about this idol shit. So I guess maybe that's kind of supposed to be a point. The fact that child terrorists can very easily go into public places and no one's going to ban an eye. But anyways, uh, they're talking about it as as the Cobain brother is feeling up, is eating just fries because he doesn't know if his family will get the bill from this, which is a question who is paying for this stuff. I don't know. At this point, it's not like at this point. I question how many people, and they probably were just planning on going on a rampage, or maybe the Katana guy has money, or I don't know. It could be. Who really knows how they're paying for all this stuff, but it does. It's like it's going to man the end of the chapter. But regardless, they're a bit talking about it. The things like they're feeling kind of guilty. They left Nail, which I guess is kind of confirming that that guy is the Nail fiend, as well as the guy with the I think the eye patch guy. Like they are here eating sushi while the other two are holding the fort since they're also not here. As they're just talking about general stuff and also that mentioning about how weird Euro and Danji are or Asa is. Like she lost an arm yet she doesn't seem to be bothered by anything. Like the fact that she has no arm and stuff like that. As then someone else starts talking, and that someone else is Baron. The bastard that burned Danchi's house and all that. He's starting to talk, and unlike our civilians, those two do recognize Baron, as he explains that this is because they are devils. They don't really care about stuff. They don't have hearts like humans do. And that's the reason why Elsa isn't really bothered by the fact that she doesn't have an arm anymore, because she's a devil now. Well, she has made a contract with the devil and all that, so it's not really shouldn't. It's something that she shouldn't be bothered by. Like there's also a general question like, is Yuru more human in Asana and stuff like that. But which does me kind of wonder which direction we're going with the series. Like, are we going to have the series where we end it with Denji becoming more fully demonic, like in his known behavior? So he and Asa and the rest of the weapons and four horsemen just sort of like rule the world or something. I I don't know, this is just something that I kind of imagine every time I think about the ending of Chainsaw Man. But regardless, as Baron is explaining that, then she spots him, and then he grabs a fork, goes to Baron to stab him because of, he's kind of guilty party here. As then Baron immediately tells him, I know where Naruto is. As Denji immediately stops, like, what? As then Baron wants to play it cool. Alright, dude, just sit. Alright, just sit next to me and I'll explain to you everything. We don't want to cause a commotion now, do we? As Denji is smart enough to play along, and also showing that he does really care about Naruto. It's just there's a lot going on in his mind. He doesn't really know what to do next, kind of situation. So he just decides to. So he plays along with Baron here because again he's promising him to tell where Naruto is, because I guess Denji again doesn't know where the fact that Fami is the one that the Baron works for, but regardless. He sits down and he listens to Baron as Baron tells him the the Devil Defense Agency is outside surrounding the place. So as soon as they walk out, they'll be swatted by them. Not entirely certain what they are gonna do because, as we found out in prison, because they are completely hopeless and useless. Like, seriously useless. Like, the only one that's actually dangerous is Quan Chi, and the rest are like father bit douches. But regardless, whatever. But regardless, they are incapable of doing anything. But to Baron, they're an issue, and Baron promises if he can get him out, then then he'll take them where Naruto is. So Denji is now gonna be forced to work with Baron. Probably balls getting kicked at some point. Like, I can already imagine after all is done and after he's reunited with Naruto, maybe like when they're just out of the danger zone. Denji's like, yeah, I'm going to let you off the hook and all that, but before that, as he is kicking the balls, which I can honestly see Jacob time and be like, man, that's what you get. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter. It's again just a brief chapter to get like a bit. Now we're going back to like a bit more of the action, more of the drama situation in Chainsaw Man. Then after Chainsaw Man, we have Ruri Dragon, chapter 15, titled "Thanks for the Waiting," because it's gonna be a very slice of life everyday type of chapter. So, anyways, we start this chapter off with Ruri doing the sports day duties that they have to do, where they're setting things up, getting the equipment, and all that, and we can see that Ruri is, very much putting her all in it. Like, she's doing a lot of work. She's carrying a lot, and it would be very heavy for her to carry, like throughout the entire street. Like I think she grabbed like a very big and heavy box, and she's walking it throughout the entire school all the way to the field. Which, personally, if you ask me, I feel like who designed this school to a point that the gym and the sports equipment would be so fucking far away. Especially, like, I'm sure these are things that are used in the sports. It's like, why are they far away? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I'm pretty sure that most schools keep these type of stuff very close. So, like, when you get out of the gymnasium or whatever, that you would be able to go immediately outside. So it's kind of a weird thing how she's in. It seems to be implied that this place where they're gonna be doing the sports day activities and the gymnasium, or where they keep all the sports equipment, is like on the other side of the school. Although imagine this is like one of those things where it's gonna be kind of showing us the effects of Yuri's blood kicking in more. Like, right now she's struggling with carrying this heavy box, but later she might be doing a feat of strength where it's like, this is not heavy at all, because again, it's questionable how much Yuri is gonna become dragon, so I could totally see it be like a thing where something extremely heavy falls over, like maybe I mean, maybe like one of the things that's built into the school, like for the American football or something like that, like starts to fall over, and Rui spontaneously like tries to protect herself, so she grabs the thing as it's falling over, and she's able to hold it in place and kind of lifting it without any issue. Like, this isn't that heavy. And then you're like, you were barely carrying that heavy box. How are you able to lift this thing now? Because I guess super strength is something that she got. I mean, granted, I think super strength is something that the dragons have more because of their biology rather than speed of some kind of super capability. But I don't know, it would be kind of interesting to do it. Like I can totally imagine there being like a joke like that. But yeah, regardless, that girl Maiko, I believe, no questions, Rui, why she's doing so much and going so in such a hurry. As Rui explains to her that she and her friends got scheduled to be meeting together for a get together, and she said that she'll be late, but she doesn't know how long it was gonna take, so she wants to really hurry things along so they will be able to finish faster. Which, honestly, the way they kind of make it look in this chapter, kind of getting the vibe they might have been like. I mean, I haven't been on sports committees, especially in Japanese ones, so I'm not entirely sure how these things work. But it kind of seems to be implied they're just carrying and making everything in one day. By the way, they are making it look like in this chapter. But regardless, she's doing it so she'll be able to finish faster, so she could go join with them. With them. So yeah, then we just have like a little conversation with them saying that she'll be running late and taking even longer, and all of them just doing it. And yeah, and then we have like the fight when it's over, and the guy's like, "Yeah, sorry it took us this long. That we did not expect that it would take this long." Which honestly, I can't get the impression. Like, did you guys seriously just make everything? Is it like one of those things where you're like, let's put all that stuff in one place or something? Let's take all the stuff out today so we will not have to do it in 2 days or something. Because again, like it seems to be like that's kind of how it comes off to me. Like they are doing everything. So anyway, so they are doing that. So Ruri is able to leave, but she's kind of like, is she even gonna be able to get there? Because it's very late. Like they told her that it's fine because worst comes to worst, they'll just have one of their older sisters drive them all home. But luckily, well, we don't know if that's what ends up happening. All I know is that Michael, during the break, they were probably taking in between carrying everything. She kind of did a quick little search for the route to the place that Rui was going, and she, found her the fastest route for Rui to go there uh, for her place, and she showed it to Rui, and Rui thanked her, and after they were finally done, Rui ran for it. Like she was like, it's like one of those weird routes where it's like you can make it. It's just you gotta have to hurry, and if you just miss it for one, especially if it's the stop signs, you're just gonna miss it. Like this again is a very relatable chapter. If you've ever went to school and you have to rely on buses, those things are like the least reliable. I mean, yeah, everyone can use them, and you don't need to learn how to drive a car or something, but they're so fucking difficult. And then it's gonna be like one of those times where it's gonna be the boss is gonna leave 1 minute before you even arrive, like 1 minute before he was supposed to. It's not gonna wait because it's not full respect. So you have to wait even more. Then move for the next one. It's not even because you were late, it was literally just because the boss assumed no one else was coming. And then of course, you probably saw the boss is the worst part, so if you, and you know that some boss drivers are like that, they're going to actually slow down and let you board even if they're already in a route, but you don't know because, they're gonna blend in together. But regardless, luckily for Rui, she doesn't have to deal with the bosses, she has to deal with trains, which are probably even more of a fucking hassle because, I imagine there's a limitation how much. Like, Japanese trains are usually last fill in anime and manga, so. Yeah, but in this instance, Rui is probably just. But again, like, Rui is having a hard time, so she has to be running around the entire place. Like, I didn't think that you do see some people, like, watching her, she's, like, running at this full speed. And then the worst part, like, she does miss one train, so she has to take a different route. Basically, she has to, like, she goes on a train, and she has to make the original train that Michael planned out. But then that other train, there's probably a delay or something. Probably too long stop or something, or maybe it wasn't as fast as it should be. So she missed this one train, then she has to go another route, and then she gets a bit lost because she's in a different route, because she went on a wrong not that she went on the wrong route, but it's like she went in unfamiliar territory looking for a boss. It's exactly the easiest thing to find, so she's now stuck in that. So she's kind of lost a bit, but is able to eventually find her way there, and she finally managed just to come to the restaurant. They will open a meeting together. And she comes in, probably soaking from sweat from all the running as well as all the sports committee stuff. And she sees that all of them have been waiting, like they told her, like they will wait for her and all that. Which Rue is very happy, and even her best friend is there, which she thought that she would leave because of how long it was gonna take. So regardless, she's able to come there and they're able to hang out and do this point stuff. Which, honestly, I feel like at that point, Rui probably. I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, but I really feel like at this point, Rui would not really wanna. I don't know how much of an energy Rui would even have for their study session, because that's what this is supposed to be, a study session. But Rui, knowing that she had a normal day at school, she had to stay after school for a long period of time to do sports committee stuff. Then she had to run around a bit, and now she has to go immediately back into studying. I feel like she would just not have the will to do it, or be able to enjoy her time studying. But regardless, it's anime manga. There's a bit more believable. There's more. This is one of those suspension of disbelief things, and we're talking about hybrid for Christ's sakes. So yeah. Anyways, then we have Miracle-chan chapter 58, and again, no titles because Miracle-chan has no titles for some fucking reason. But regardless, we start this chapter off with Miko waiting for Michiru because they were planning on going to some Lambda Rabbit Festival. So I think it's just Lambda Festival. As Miko is waiting there. She came a bit early because if she would feel guilty if she would be late because Michiru would stand out, and just generally she wants to be a considerate girlfriend. I mean, friend. This is totally not a date, people. Just so we clear, this is not a date. As then Michiru shows up and she wears like her very model-like outfits with a face mask for some reason. I guess not to be recognized, which I mean, when you really think about it, having when you really think about it, is all that gap that stars do really helping them at all when it comes to blending in and not being attention and getting the attention? Because you have a girl wearing a face masks in the middle of the day wearing a very beautiful dress. I am certain that no one would recognize. I doubt no one would recognize or at least look at her a bit, but. Regardless, Miko and Michiru meet up with explain that Hana and Yuri are going to a restaurant a bit, which explains which Miko does comment. Oh, poor Yuria, because Hana's eating is next level gluttony. So yeah, I guess it's not gonna be the foursome right now, but it's gonna be a date with Michiru. I mean, not a date. So yeah, anyways, then we have Michiru and Miko going on a train, which Miko asks Michiru if she ever was on a train, but Michiru says that she never was. But anyways, they're on the train as they are about to go sit. I think they are standing a bit, but I might also that's because because everything's filled, or if that's just because they just entered. Regardless, they are there. As then Miko, she senses danger, or really she gets. I think she just senses that she has to get reminded of something very important on the train. That is the axe ghost. You know the axe ghost, the guy whose axe went through Miko to a point that she pissed herself. So yeah, that guy is on this train. I mean, and that guy is a very terrifying and horrifying ghost. So Miko is kinda. She does not want to be there. So when that thing is coming and Michiru is kind of questioning why she's not sitting down, Miko wonders things what she could do. I mean, she doesn't seem to be aware that the ghost itself doesn't really seem to harm people. In fact, she again she makes an observation in this chapter where it seems like the ghost is going after the people with spirits inside them, namely. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a danger. But two things: one, even if she does, it doesn't do anything to normal people. It's just clinging ghosts inside of people. Well, it's an axe going through her head, and she's well aware of it. It's gonna be horrifying as all hell. And then the second issue is Michiru has a spirit together with her. So if this ghost acts as Michiru, and then let's say it rips the ghost out of Michiru, what's going to happen to her? So is that going to affect her? Ron said that they are more fused together than most ghosts and humans are, or the way that most ghosts possess humans. So what will happen to Michiru if that thing is ripped off her? So yeah, Miko must protect her tentacles. I mean her friend. Don't her tentacles. As if she's not fantasizing about tentacles in her sleep. We know what you're dreaming of, Miko. We know. So yeah, Miko then decides to find a way to get away from it. So she's like, "Oh, let's go down a bit. I think I saw the anaconda guy. The guy that she, the running joke guy for Miko. Like whenever she needs some kind of thing to get avoid or ignore or something, she always makes up with him. Like there's a ghost girl possessing a guy, and she thinks that Miko is gonna steal the guy from her. But Miko's like, "Oh, look at this guy. He's so cool." Like, so interest in something that's opposite of that pretty boy. So that's when she discovered him, and then she needed to do a fake thing to trick to make it look like she's not referring to anything. So she is conjure snapping Yuria a couple of times, and just general stuff like that. Which is funny since Miko is into girls, so it would work regardless. So she should probably look at Playboys if anything else. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it's pretty much it's kind of in your face type of situation. I don't think we've actually seen Miko ever be legitimately interested in dudes, anyways. But anyways, Miko wants to get away, but she spots this ghost. Is kind of this ghost has been on a train for a while, so he understands that people moving is a bad thing. So he needs to quickly go to them and get those ghosts out of them to check if there are ghosts in them. But regardless, so Miko has to come think fast on her feet as she mentions to people that there's a spider underneath them, so their movements will be distracting the ghost a bit so they can get off. As then we have the ghost taking them a bit out. As then there's another guy who goes like, go spider, as got the axe goes at him, and and that guy did have a ghost inside of him. But this ghost is aside from being creepy and just looking very weird because of how Miko. These ghosts look creepy as all hell. Like if you've seen Volume 3's extra material for the wait, was it Volume 3 or Volume 7? Yeah, I think it was a Volume 7 actually. Volume 7's extra material we got designs for these ghosts in better detail than we get in the anime. You will see how freakish some of these are, and then you have them popping out weird places. So this ghost that the axe guy hits is very creepy to Miko, but now there's also the fact that this axe ghost is also not strong enough to easily deal with this spirit, so the spirit's kind of fighting back against him, implying this guy is also more of a danger to ghosts than humans. So makes me kind of wonder if he's like a Green Reaper type of character more than anything else. I don't know. It's there doesn't there's gonna be a weird spirits there. Like this guy, Michio's tentacles, the dark ghost and those spirit shrine creatures. Like, so this guy might be something else. It's again kind of what how to say what exactly this guy is. It kind of seems to be similar to that mouth thing that was next to that bakery. So yeah, the axe ghost. So this ghost fights back against the axe guy, and he's kind of overpowering him a bit. But then he just points out his bug things out and just kind of overpowers him and stuffs him in the back. So I mean, so this does raise the question how powerful this ghost is amongst other ghosts. Because it's, again, hard to say exactly. I'm kind of leaning to this guy being kind of like a zombie man situation from One Punch Man, where he himself isn't really powerful, but eventually he will beat every ghost kind of deal here. So he can, like, he will eventually win type of situation. Although maybe not exactly, because he does seem like he's incapable of leaving of the. Now, Miko tries to get away from this situation by telling Michiru that she needs to go to the bathroom, so they'll have to get up at the next stop so she could get, to the bathroom, and, it's gonna be a bit of delay, but not really an issue. Which Michiru doesn't understand. There's like a little joke about her thinking that they should immediately stop the train, but Miko doesn't want that because, I mean, she's desperate to get off the train because of the ghost, but it doesn't really matter. And so, yeah. So, anyways, they're about to go off the train, and when the doors open, Michiru quickly grabs Miko's arm and then runs out. So, Miko, because she wants to be a spoiled girlfriend and all that, or well, she's in love with Miko, and Michiru is, so they get off, which is luckily for them, they are able to do so. So they get out of it, and she's very happy. And she kind of views Michiru as her hero because they walk slowly out of it. There's a danger that guy would hit them. So now they're so happy. So she's able to get out, and that guy is completely unable to go through it. Like, I think he's like just before his axe blade would get out of it, he immediately stops. But it's no, again, like maybe this means that he's not maybe like Zombie Man. Maybe he's like a thing where every ghost that could fit into this train is weak enough. But I don't really know if you would be able to control what the power level of a ghost would be, even if there was a size limit. But regardless, this ghost he is able to he's not able to slice into Miko, but then a guy immediately steps on in and pushes Miko inside by accident. He apologizes, which means Miko is inside the train, right? Right in front of the axe guy, and this guy's like, oh, she's inside, as he goes there with an axe and hits Miko. As Miko has an adorable little face, where she's like, it happened again. As Miko just pissed herself. This guy must have. I wonder if she sees something else when the guy axes her, because she seems to be really terrified of this guy's axe. So yeah, Miko and Michiru. Miko gets off the train, and she's like, as Michiru's like, are you fine? And it's like, we need to go buy to this. We have to go to a clothing store. And Michiru's like, why? I need underwear. So, yeah, Miko pissed herself. I wonder how many times we're gonna have this be a joke in the story, honestly. Like, Miko, I feel like, should be aware at this point. I think she's smart enough to realize that this guy isn't harming her. I think he's doing everyone assistance. He's helping everyone. In fact, I would not be surprised if there is going to be a story point where either Miko's mother or her brother is gonna be possessed by a spirit, was gonna have a spirit inside of him. So she's gonna be have to force them into the train, and then in that train, so he could rip those spirits out. But then she would be there. I mean, at that point, she would probably just have to bear the pissing herself from that axe guy. Regardless, like, is this gonna be a running gag here? Every time she goes to this train and the axe guy shows up, she's gonna be, and I'm needing underwear change. But regardless, they go change Miko goes to change her underwear as they meet as Michiru and Miko then end up with Hana and Yuri, where Hana is able to tell that Miko was crying out of bed because of her eyes, because it happened again. As Michiru tries to tell her there's nothing wrong, it was just the nature taking its course, because she told her that she needed to go to the bathroom and she wasn't able to, not because she pissed herself off fear. But Miko's like, just don't. I don't want to talk about that. I mean, it's the second time this happened. So yeah, and the girls, now that they're all together, they just decide to go to the festival, which surprisingly enough, none of them seem to be wearing, I don't think none of them are wearing yukatas, which is, by the looks of it, this seems like that kind of festival where you do end up wearing those kimonos or yukatas, whatever they're called for the females wearing these festivals. But regardless, then it's Lambda Rabbit Festival, and yeah, it seems to be just like a little standard festival with a rabbit theme towards it. But anyways, they're going to there to have fun. Except that in the final page of the final page of the chapter is a mysterious ghost child look from the shadows looking at them in the forest. Who the child is, I'm guessing is no one significant. It's just gonna be another one of those, that ghost child that appeared in season one, who was so convincing as a person that Miko did legitimately react to him, even though he's not there. Like, she thought that he was holding a balloon or something, and the mother was going to pick him up, but then it was a completely third person, and then that gave the sign to the ghost. That girl can see it, and he attacked her. I'm guessing it's gonna be kind of like that, because there's a festival, there's a lot of kids, it's very easy for ghosts to blend in amongst humans here. So is this ghost gonna do something? Is this ghost going to have some kind of significant role, or a big threat? I can honestly always see this being a thing where, like, this ghost kid shows itself to Miko, and then reveals itself and attacks Miko, and then like that, those guys we got introduced to in the last couple of chapters intervene and destroy him, and then that's how we have Miko mean that guy and his people. I'm kind of getting that vibe, but we have to wait and see, because I feel like this is building to Miko mean that guy, and what exactly the situation is gonna be moving forward. Because I imagine this guy, like, it's the way that Ron acts around him. It seems like he is an ally or a friend, a guy with benefits, but it's not exactly the type of guy you would want to be around. Not exactly the type of guy you can think it's good. So very much you shouldn't you shouldn't mess with him. You shouldn't trust the guy to be. You shouldn't trust the guy, but you also shouldn't be messing with the guy, because, like Ron said, he went to the place that they were supposed to meet up, and he didn't like the place that they were supposed to meeting up. So he rather came earliest in a place where there would be where there were gonna be witnesses. So he didn't want to match. So regardless, and then they got to a better place for him, a more preferable place. So I think it's gonna be one of those situations here, where it's gonna be like this guy's gonna be meeting Miko here, but it's gonna be not a good sight. Which it would. No, they wouldn't. I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna do another joke with her pissing herself because of this guy and his ghosts, but no, I don't think they're gonna do it the second time here. But who knows? Like, I could totally see him scaring Miko so much that he should piss himself. But regardless of what happens next, we all know it's gonna be adorable and it's gonna be horrifying. So, anyways, now on to the final final manga to talk about. I know this is probably like my longest period yet. With Time Stop Hero Chapter 49, titled Revival and Stop. So yeah, we start this chapter off with the Ice Witch showing up and explaining to the girls what exactly is happening right now with everything. As she reveals to Frey, I want to say that everyone is alive and Psycho is alive. He did what he was supposed to have done. But that makes Fly question how and that, and I mean, it's a bit. It's like one of those things. It's like one of those things where the story, everything is kind of revealed beforehand, but it's also like revealed later. I'm gonna reveal it later, but regardless, she explains that everything's fine, everyone's alive and everything. But then they question her a bit about that, as which is gonna be a little bit hard to explain. But it's best if she just shows as they go to the pretty much just go to the end of the where they were standing at and like in a like we are connecting like that little floorboard board or wherever they were to the end of it as they look at they see that the elves from their village just emerge. I guess the clock for them to come out has come as now they can leave of their bunker that they were staying at. As then Freya meets with her sister, Lucia, or whatever her name was, as they are now hugging and reunited because they're finally happy to be together, even though they spend the whole chapter here, but it's nice they're finally reunited as sisters. Which, when enough, where is their aunt? You know, the MILF, I'm guessing blonde one, the one that was like, the one that was supposed to be taking care of them, raising them with your children. The one that was like very prominent at the start of the whole elf bring back the elf arc or the elf village arc. Yeah, I think it's the elf village arc. That one. Where is she here? Because the fun thing is they do not mention her at all in this chapter. She's nowhere to be found here. So where is she? I mean, she was probably in the first half, but then after a couple of chapters, like when DCS took over, like as soon as like the attempts at actually getting rid of DCS's plot or foiling DCS's plots happened, she sort of just disappeared. So where is she here? I'm questioning this because we are leaving the Elf Village after this chapter, and we have this reunion between the characters and all. But where is that lady? I mean, like I want to say, like where is she? I mean, wasn't she even a prominent member of the count? Like, wasn't she even like one of those people that needs to be like like one of those like village chiefs and stuff? So why isn't she? Like, we don't see her even amongst them. I don't think we even see her backgrounds. It's kind of weird how she is nowhere to be found at all. I mean, I guess we just needed a racist elf to be tied up and stripped a bit, so that's most of the reason why she wasn't in the story. But still, it's kind of weird how she just vanished from the story. It's completely. But yeah, anyways, the sisters are reunited, as then we have like a full explanation in detail what happened. So, sick as we cut to the past with the characters and him explaining everything. So they explain the Saka explains that the best way to solve this issue, the way they should resolve everything, is by making the events still happen, but them surviving the events, like and making a story in universe. So, for example, the attack on the village still happened. The bandits still think they attacked and succeeded and all that type of stuff. But in this instance, they would be, by this instance, they would survive. What the story, as in the timeline wise, is it's not that they escaped or survived the encounter, it's that people who've managed to escape the village while it was burning and left to go into far distant lands have decided to regroup to start a new village and to rebuild what was destroyed. It's kind of like the story of in fantasies where like, oh, the family or the people loyal to a certain family got chased out, but they eventually in a few years came back together to save their community and all that. So it's kind of like that kind of situation here, where that's the story that the world knows. The story, as far as I know, is the village got destroyed by bandits. The people who survived by escaping or fleeing at the moment just emerged together and fixed everything. Not that they well, in reality, they just destroy the village and hid themselves on the bunker for a few years until he emerges again, so they could start rebuilding it. So I guess they lived underground for a few years. Maybe that's where she is. Maybe the aunt just lost her mind when she lived in a bunker, and she's just a crazy underground woman. But regard, that's the new history they're going for. So Seka is going to have the village chief because his family is very profound in using memory magic and altering stuff. As they're going to have Frey and the blonde elf that we met in the beginning of this arc, because those are the only two that he meets and the only two he knows for a fact that they survived the village being destroyed. They're going to have those two have false memories planted in them to like probably to support the idea that they just reunite the survivors of the village of the elf village reunite and they're just now building a new village. A village they are gonna alter those two's memories to be more fitting and apparently tying them to chairs and blindfolding them. But regardless, they're altering their minds, which does take a lot of the village chief when he does this. And then we have Sekai uh, capturing all the bandits to change into mind, like their plot went through. They did what they were supposed to do for the village chief. Although there is also some kind of like I'm guessing a foreshadowing line because he mentions that I think I'm not sure if he says that these guys they were if there was some nobility or some royalty there, like who just being the douchebag royals there are in these stories. But imagine like there shouldn't be anything going wrong with this change, right? Right. But regardless, he does that stuff, so they would have the same. So everyone in the beginning of the story would have be on the same page as they were. Like this isn't retconning the whole story. Well, it is retconning it, but it is solving the issue. So they are changing the minds of everyone. So, anyways, then we have Lucia using her golem to destroy the village, so it would look like it was supposed to look like. Which Seka even mentions, yeah, this looks like about the way the village was supposed to look like when I saw it. So yeah, it's also fitting. So everything fits how it's supposed to fit. Which does Lucia is questioning this a bit. Why am I destroying the village exactly? As they explain, it's necessary, so they go with the plan. Like the two girls are supposed to survive or are known to be survived, have their memories altered and went away. Well, and are surviving. The bandits will believe they attacked the village and they did the damage, while in reality it was the elves destroying everything, while they are in reality hiding underground. So yeah. Anyways, then we have back to the well. Then we cut a bit after this because Sekai was dealing with all this times wumbling jumbly stuff, but he comes to the two ice witches, so the two old hags, as they are both sleeping in that room that the ice witch had set up there. As he shows up them and they are like have the little jokes about Sekai calling them old hags, but the ice witch saying that they are not old hags and all that. As then he is like, all right, the giant monarch crystal is ready for the transportation, so will you go and all that stuff? As the ice witches are like, sure, I'll go and deal with all this. As then he's like, which one exactly is she? And she explains she's the one that would time travel with him to the past. As then the other ice witch is like, yeah, I probably shouldn't show up with the rest and everything because that will cause issues, foreshadowing for the next arc, if I mess with time too much. So it's for the best if I just, so it's best I guess I'm staying in his house for a while. So the reason why she's not playing a role here. Playing why they are not free, why they are not full witches with two ice witches in the story. Which is an interesting thing to realize when you remember that in Volume 5, when the ice witches were in 6, there was actually two of them. Kind of weird that the ice witch didn't recognize Sekai, but especially since she was with him. But regardless, there might be some weird small changes throughout the story later. I mean, they do even foreshadow them previously with the previously when the hero they were changing the memories of the bandits. So it's probably gonna be some changes regardless. But anyways, this ice witch is living, I guess, in that house for a while. I guess at least now with the owls being allowed to get come from the underground, they'll be at least should be at least able to have them as companions. At least that's something, I suppose. So yeah. Anyways, they go away, but then the ice witch informs them that they never came back. They were supposed to come back. Once they delivered the giant mana shot, but they didn't. So I have no idea what happened to them. I mean, I couldn't really leave and go anywhere because there'll be issues if they found out there were two ice witches from different timelines. So yeah, he most likely got captured in prison in the in the witch kingdom. So yeah, after that information, they decide that they need to go save Sekai because he did so much for them, and in this instance, they do need to go save him. But unfortunately for the characters, they're in a little bit of trouble since the blonde elf girl is gonna stay in this village to help rebuild and to reunite with everyone and all that stuff. While the ice witch can't help because if she shows up and there are two ice witches, there could be issues. So she wants to kind of save her skin here and kind of doesn't really want to get involved, which does make me kind of wonder how we're gonna be solving this double the ice witch plotline a bit. But because she's out, which only leaves Freya and little burglar girl. But Freya and little burglar girl decide, well, we do have some friends that owe us a favor, so they decide to go to Beltray, where we have the princesses night group coming back in the story and being the ones that they're gonna be using to help Seika save the day. They're basically gonna be like the new female companions to travel alongside the main group. Like how the barbarian was, how the kunoichi. Generally we seem to be having characters that the main character is having. They're not there to be as a main group, but more like just generally staying together with everyone. So yeah, that's it for this chapter and for this very, very, very long video. They're going through, I want to say, over 20 chapters, but it happens when you are fall behind a week. You're gonna have a bunch of chapters to talk about, especially if you have series are weekly releases. But whatever, we are finally done. It sure was a while, but anyways, that's it for these 2 weeks chapters. I hope you, 3 weeks. I feel like at this point. I mean, I did talk about 3 chapters of Eden Zero, but well, whatever. Well, for these weeks for these discussions. So, anyways, I hope you like this very, very, very long video. I hope you leave your thoughts on the chapters I discussed and the chapters you've read this week in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more videos in the future. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all of you mortals next time. Goodbye.